All right, so before the episode begins, I just want to thank my patrons who support with the level 2 tier. Shout out to Mongher. Thank you so much for your support. Hey everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Spoiler Force Podcast. You can find all episodes on any podcasting platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and watch episodes on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to follow Spoiler Force on all social media platforms at Spoiler Force Podcast.
This is Mark Whitten, and you're listening to Spoiler Force Podcast. Set your heart ablaze.
All right, so this is episode 121 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. This week's guest, I have an artist that I met at Nishi Fest, and also we have a mutual friend as well. So let me introduce JJ of the Oniyuri Graphics. Did I say that right, Oniyuri?
Yes, Oniyuri Graphics. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I want to let the fans know like how we met. Again, it was at Nishi Fest, but I didn't know that you were friends with Philip. And so
Yes.
Philip told me about you, and then we went to your booth like towards the end of the day and saw
Mhm.
like, your setup and all that.
Yes, we had a short interaction. I completely forgot your name because so much was going on. Then when you came back around, it's like, wait, what is your name again? And then I was happy that you guys did came back and visit. I was talking to my friend, and I was like, I bet they left, and they didn't even say goodbye.
No, I was like so busy doing other things at Nishi Fest, like I was in like convention mode, so I was so focused on talking to the cosplayers, taking pictures, meeting the
Mhm.
voice actors, and then I with Artist Alley, I've said this on the podcast too. Like I'm a sucker for Artist Alley. So since I moved to Texas for like almost a good month now, I'm trying not to buy too much stuff because I don't want to like
Yes.
move here and then when I move out on my own, have all this
Yes.
stuff with me. So I'm
Yes.
trying to like just slowly build up my collection. I think once I finally get an actual place to settle in with, like on my own,
Mhm.
I'll
Mhm.
probably invest in Artist Alley stuff. I have so much
I
stuff back at home in
know.
Michigan.
It was so hard to like try and sell stuff and not go and spend it right
Yeah.
after earning it in the Artist Alley.
You ever thought about trading? Like you ever go to their booths like I'll trade you this for this?
I have. It was really funny. So the convention before Nishi Fest, I went to ATG Expo, and one of my artist friends that I met there, her name's Lily. She's the first person that ever did an art trade with me, or a merchandise trade. And then I'm like, I keep forgetting to ask people because I'm like, I just want to buy it, so I just want to support them. So I constantly forget. But then when they mention it, it's like, oh yeah, sure, I would love to trade with you.
It's kind of like just bringing old school bartering back. Just like, I'll give you 2 stickers for your pin or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you 2 shillings for that goat over there.
I mean, like for the fans and listeners who don't know of your work, can you kind of just talk about how did you get into just art in general? Like what inspired you? When did you start?
So when I was younger, I remember distinctively watching Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all of that. But I never considered it like anime, or I didn't know what the proper term was. It was just cartoons. So, but then when I got a little older, we didn't have cable growing up. So we went to a friend's house, and then in the middle of the night, Inuyasha came on. And I was like, what is this? What is this cat boy? And then she went to go correct me and say that's a dog, and I'm like, okay. So ever since I watched Inuyasha, as you can tell, ever since I watched Inuyasha, that's when I just wanted to start drawing. I believe I was 10 or 11 years old when I started wanting to draw, and it just started going from there. It went up. I started playing more video games. It incentivized me to read manga. I didn't like reading when I was growing up, so my parents had a hard time teaching me. So whenever I wanted to read, it was just pure manga. So my parents were incentivized to go buy me more manga or something that I wanted to read. And one of the things that I wanted to read was like D and Angel, Naruto. So my parents were like, oh, okay, you want to go spend money on that? We will. Okay.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, so that's what started the whole I need to draw this white-haired boy.
I feel like Inuyasha is a big starting point for a lot of American viewers. I remember like growing up and like from elementary to middle school, a lot of the more of the weebs or otakus of that time it was definitely like Dragon Ball Z,
Mhm.
Inuyasha, Gundam Wing, Sailor Moon,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
So like that like generation of anime kind of sparked the huge movement. Um, but yeah, I wasn't honestly I wasn't too big at Inuyasha, but I remember watching the Adult Swim commercials where they were like, Kagome, Inuyasha, Kagome, like it was back and forth. I remember that. Um,
All the
yeah, but
time.
uh, so did you just like the anime style when it comes to your art? Like, is that where you get your inspiration from, or do you get like more from like Western cartoon drawings?
Well, when I was figuring out my art style, I would definitely eyeball a lot of drawings when I was first learning. I didn't know how to draw, and I just taught myself. I didn't go to school or anything. I'm self-taught. Uh, I would look at the anything, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, a picture on the internet. But when it came down to my art style, there's one creator that I specifically would love to achieve. Not exactly, but his art style is just amazing. His name is Chaos Kai. He's a Japanese mangaka, a visual Kai artist. He's in a band. He's like this amazing artist, and I've been watching him forever. His name wasn't always Chaos Kai. He just rebranded himself maybe probably 5 years back. But his art is realistic, but still with a touch of like traditional Japanese manga style. So it just really spoke to me like that's what I want to draw. I can't really describe it. I feel like mine's a little bit more westernized comic style with a hint of manga and anime, but I'm trying to keep it still cartoony but not too realistic because I don't really like 100% realism. So it's a weird in between.
That's what I've been noticing a lot about like with artists or like their work. Like on my podcast, I talk to like various different artists that go to like conventions and stuff. Earlier this week I spoke with Lilith's art. She does kind of the same thing too. She kind of like blends the Western cartoon style with the animation or the anime style, and like
Mm-hmm.
even with Victor Koo, Mighty Pegasus, I spoke to before. Like his art style is like that. He started off heavy with anime, and then once he got into like Superman and Batman, he was talking about
Yes.
like, yeah, the proportions of their face was a lot different from anime. So
Mm-hmm.
like you kind of still stick with the anime like um kind of like just the more cartoony aspects, but you give their facial structures like their
Yes.
looks more of the cartoon or Western cartoon look. So like
Mm,
it's a very unique blend. Like I've been noticing a lot of that recently, going to conventions or following
uh-huh.
artists on like on Instagram and stuff. But
Mhm.
me personally, I still prefer like more anime-ish style.
Yes.
But nothing wrong with the comic book style though, because comic book covers, there are some artists out there who are like really, really good.
Mhm. Well, who do you specifically like comic book style, like, that does that kind of cover
Um,
art that comes to
it it,
mind?
it really depends because there's like the cover artist and then there's the people who draw like the actual panels.
Ah, okay,
So
okay, okay.
yeah, so like Jim Lee is a good one. He's one of the big ones at DC Comics. He has like
Mhm.
I don't want to say anime inspired, but it could pass. I think he could do like a Americanized anime or Americanized manga if he wanted to. Because on my Facebook memories, like yesterday, I had a memory of me sharing like his Goku, his variation of Goku, and so it was like Superman, but then like it's Goku's like physique, so like it was really cool. Another one would be like I can never pronounce his last name. I don't know how to pronounce. I think it's like Polish or something. It was like Stefan
Okay.
Sajic. I want to say that's his name. He
Oh.
did the Harleen book for
Oh,
DC Black Label, and that was
Black
a really good 3 series book.
uh,
If you've not read that, JJ, you
I have
should.
not. I have not.
Harleen is really good. Like it's his take on the origin of Harley Quinn from the animated series.
Oh, wow, okay, I would definitely want to read that then.
Yeah,
I'll definitely
he's
check it
got a
out.
very unique style. He does the cover art and he does the panels, and I think he wrote the story. I think he did pretty much everything.
Wow. A Swiss Army
Yeah,
knife.
yeah, he's really good. I believe I'm friends. I don't know. I don't think I'm friends with him on Facebook, but I follow his personal Facebook account. I've been trying to get him on the
Senpai,
podcast too.
senpai, notice me.
I know. That's how I am with like all my guests. Like, please notice me. Please notice me. But yeah, I mean, there's like Tyler Kirkham. He's really good.
Mhm.
Greg Capullo is really. Greg Capullo has like a really gritty comic book style. Like he's really good at making them like more medieval. Like he did
Really?
he did the was it the it was the DC event, the Dark Knight's Metal, which was really cool. So he
Dark
did like
Knight.
variations of like he did like variations of the Dark Multiverse
Mhm.
Batman. So like it
Wow.
was really cool to see that.
Oh,
I,
cool.
I could go on for days. Like there's Art Germ. I love Art Germ. Art Germ's one of my. I always name drop him. Art Germ. He does like covers for DC and Marvel. He had like
Mhm.
a Supergirl run a couple years ago. I bought every single cover. I don't even read Supergirl. I just bought the covers because it was Art Germ. And then Rachta Lin, she's been on the podcast like twice now. She's an artist from Singapore. She's finally doing some covers for like DC. I don't know if she did any for Marvel, but I know she's done some
Oh,
really good stuff.
that would be so cool. If I could ever do a cover art for somebody, I think I just hit my peak.
I mean, technically you could. People could buy like the blank comic book covers and then have you draw over it.
This is true. This is true. I did not like coloring though. I used to just do line art a lot because I
Okay.
hated color theory and everything. So I've only recently finally found a combination of, I don't know if you're familiar with like cell shading and like a little bit of blending. So cell shading is kind of like the flat colors of basically the generic anime style. So it's basically like a little bit of blending, a little bit of shading, but it's very cut and clean lines when it comes to shading. So I learned how to do that, but mix it a little bit until a little bit more realistic or with my art. So it kind of mixed into there. But you were talking about grunge art. I just realized my favorite mangaka artist, I can't remember him for the life of me because I'm terrible with names, but the manga is called Wolf Guy and it's not translated in English. And I wish one day that it'll come to America, but the art is just jaw dropping in the sense of grunge and just a mix of like action, but still a lot of detail, but realistic and anime. So it really does a big cross between the two. So I don't, if you ever have a chance to look up Wolf Guy, it's a little romantic because I like the more romantic side, but it's more action packed and the story is okay. You won't believe that they're like high schoolers, but that's what it tends to be, is like this really buff guy is a high schooler. And you're like, I don't believe it.
That's what kind of like, I don't want to say turns me off about anime or manga, but like they're so centered around like youthful characters. So
Yes.
like I understand like with them having high school students is different. Their view of high school students is different from like how we view high school students.
Mhm.
So when I hear high school, I think of like when I was like 14 or 15.
I
And
know.
so like recently, I don't know if you watched this anime, but My Dress Up Darling ended a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, I've seen some of it. It's the girl that cosplays with the two-toned color hair, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, okay. I've seen it.
There was a few of them
Haven't
at
watched
Nishi
it
Fest
yet.
too.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I've seen it, so it looks really
It's
cute and interesting.
it's so good. It's done by Cloverworks, so the animation's really really good.
Of course.
Um, but like slice of like you were thinking like romance, slice of life anime or manga, like
Mhm.
that art style is, or at least the quality of it, it's so much different because they don't have to focus on like fighting scenes or fighting panels or
Yes.
like power up like motion or movement. So it's very, it's just like, oh, one panel of her looking, one panel of her smiling, one panel to the next guy. It's very
Him
different.
him blushing, her looking away.
Yeah. So like that's why I've been getting more into like slice of life, the genre. So like when I watch or when I read the manga, like Rent a Girlfriend, that art
Mhm.
style is really good. I honestly think the manga art style is a lot better than the anime.
I don't think I've read Rent a Girlfriend. I've heard of it, but I haven't read it yet. I'm terrible about like reading manga online because I feel like I need to hold it. I need to physically
Okay.
have it in my hand. So I just tend to usually read it online. If I want to buy it, I'll be like, yes, I'm spending my money on this. This is 100% what I like. But I've heard of Rent a Girlfriend's really good. I haven't watched it quite yet. The last one I can definitively say that I've watched new is Jujutsu Kaisen because
So good.
yes, oh my, I haven't even watched the movie yet. We talked about it at
Oh
Nishi Fest,
no!
but I am.
Even Philip watched it.
You should have invited us.
Philip works with my cousin, so they went to go watch it. I think last week.
Oh, okay.
I didn't go with them. I work like a good 40 minutes from where I live, so I didn't feel like going. No,
Yeah.
but just kind of like bring it back to like what was I gonna say? Rent a Girlfriend.
Mhm.
You should read. I would say read it, but then just with a grain of salt. Like I kind of got turned off by the story in the manga. I won't spoil anything, but it's just like
Mhm.
I knew like the author is definitely cash grabbing this right now. Like you can kind of, or
Okay.
this is just my opinion. I'm not saying he is, but I feel like he's just cash grabbing at this point because
Mhm.
he knows that the fandom loves the characters more than the storyline.
Okay. That's understandable, but I'll still
Yeah.
definitely check it out. Like again, it's one of the ones that's on the list to watch just to give it a try, but I'll definitely keep it in my mind. I'll be like, I'll have to message you, be like, I watched it finally.
Yeah, it's only a 12 episode season, so you can probably burn through that within like a day or like a Saturday or something.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say over this weekend.
yeah, and same thing with My Dress Darling. It's 12 episodes. I've been like preferring seasons like that, like 12 episode seasons with high quality animation versus
Uh,
like a 26 span anime and like
oh my
with
gosh.
semi
I know.
okay animation.
There'll be like screenshots of everyone like showing like a little version of a character that has no face. Just
Yeah.
just to fill a character.
Yeah. Have you watched Ranking of Kings? That's a really good one.
I haven't. When did that come out?
That came out early winter, early winter season. It was one of those. I believe it was one of those underdog series because like
Okay.
what it dropped. I think it dropped around the same time as Attack on Titan or like one of the big shows.
Oh, like the
So
new season of Attack on Titan?
yeah, so like
Okay.
it dropped. Ranking of Kings dropped around like that time.
Mhm.
I'm actually gonna try to see if I can do a review episode of it too. But like that was a really under the radar anime. It's
Okay.
really good. It's done by Studio Wit, so like it has like this cartoony look to it, but because the animation's
Mhm.
so clean, it's definitely eye catching. But the story is very wholesome.
Oh,
I
okay.
enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check it out. I just realized, have you watched, I think it's Zeus something on Netflix? Have you gotten to watch that?
I'm very picky about anime on Netflix.
Okay.
I'm very picky on it because stuff on Netflix kind of like it's just they
You're like,
green light everything.
oh, but I have to say, just take it with a grain of salt. I swear it's really funny because I'm not going to spoil too much, but one of the episodes has Adam show up and everyone in the crowd is screaming, Daddy, you can do it, Daddy, because we come from Adam, Adam and Eve. So I'm just like crying, watching it. I'm like, come on, Dad, you can do it. You can do this. So
Is that the anime with like people fighting the gods? Is that the
yes,
one?
yes, it is. It's amazing.
I heard mixed reviews. I heard people say like it was bad because there was a lot of like panel shots versus like fighting scenes or
It
something like that.
I just have a weird sense of humor, and just for that one episode alone, just made me love it even more because I'm just crying and I'm like, come on, Dad, you can win. so, so I would definitely just give it a try. Just give it a try. Grain of salt. Get at least to the Adam episode. Then, you know, whether you want to continue or not, that's up to you. But that's my favorite episode.
Isn't there that's the anime with the character like with the girl with like the really big boobs, right? And then the like her slaves are like holding her boobs up. Is that
Yes.
the one? Oh
Yes.
my god!
They're just holding and presenting.
Right.
to
Oh my
her.
god. Yeah, I remember when that photo was going around on like the internet. Oh my god.
See? Why didn't you give it a chance yet?
I think once it becomes like memes, then I don't know. It's hard to take it seriously, I guess.
There we go.
Are you good? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, you know, once they become memes, then it's just kind of hard to take it seriously.
Oh,
I will because of just because of your recommendation, I will
Yes.
try to watch it. I've kind of like put that series like I remember when Netflix was promoting it. It looked
Mhm.
like the first trailer looked really impressive. I liked the premise that
Mhm.
it was the humans versus the gods, and then once the reviews were dropping, like it just
You're like, no, thanks.
yeah, I put
I'm
it in the back
okay.
burner.
You're like,
Uh,
speaking of back burner, I didn't watch Attack on Titan until 2021.
Oh wow.
Never. I never watched it because everyone was watching it and saying how amazing it was and it's so good, and I'm like, I keep hearing that it's not finished, and I am an impatient person, so I kept waiting, and then they're like, it's finally finishing. I was like, well, now's the time to start watching it.
Attack on Titan is life. I can say that. It is one of the best series ever.
Mhm.
I literally recorded a roundtable discussion about that yesterday.
Wow.
It was I love it. I love the themes. I love the symbolism in the story. Um but yeah, you
Yes.
should definitely watch that. I guess the reason why folks were saying like it's not finished because between seasons 1 and 2 there was like a 5 year hiatus, I believe. The
Yeah.
manga kept going, but the studio, it was under Studio Wit. Like I don't know exactly what the issues were,
Ah,
but they were like up in the air, and then Studio Wit like took
ah,
over. Like they made season 2 into like 12 episodes, and then took on season 3, which was like a full 24
mhm,
episode season, and then
mhm.
they dropped it. And then Mappa took over season 4.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, that
so
makes sense.
it's
Yeah, because I think there's like a style change between the
yeah.
episodes too. Yeah, like people are talking about like, oh, the style changed a little bit, or I don't know if I read that or I just noticed it. I think I read it, and that's why I was
It's
like,
pretty
okay.
noticeable. Yeah, you could definitely notice a change in style.
Mhm.
Like Studio Wit has a very clean cut look. I personally would prefer their style, but what Mappa did was they kind of took more from the source material. They kind of stayed true
Okay.
to Isayama's drawings of the characters. More like you
Mhm.
could see more of
The
like the
detail.
horror, yeah, like
Mhm.
just the characters expressions and like how they would react and all that. And so I liked what Mappa did, but I feel like Mappa is taking on too many projects because they're working on Jujutsu Kaisen and Vinland Saga and all this other stuff.
No, I agree, but I think they're just at the same time, like, they're like, if we don't get this out, this is lost revenue. It's hot right now. Let's pump it out. Everyone wants to see
Oh yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen, so it's kind of hard. I feel really bad for the artists, but it's hard. You want to watch it, but then you feel really bad, and you hope that everyone that's being a part of the project is being cared for, taken care of, or watching their health.
You know the director for Jujutsu Kaisen left too, right? He left to start his own
Yeah.
studio.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think I thought I read that the mangaka was taking a break. Didn't they?
The manga was on a break. I don't know if they are still. I'm still trying to
Okay.
catch up on the manga, but the director for these anime left.
Mhm.
So he's
Wow,
I
I
think
didn't know
from
that.
yeah, he left. I believe he's trying to start his own independent studio.
Mhm.
But I can understand why if he was overworked. I get it. But
Mm-hmm.
hopefully,
Hey.
even with this movie being how hot it is, I hope that Mappa can like afford a good director and like try to take them more seriously and to push out the anime
Hopefully.
for its quality and not just for the revenue.
No, for sure, for sure. I completely agree.
So, do you want, as an artist, do you want to try to do like animation or like work for more of a, I guess you could say corporate, or would you rather stay independent?
I would rather stay independent because I already like I'm sure you have a normal corporate job. I have a corporate job, and I would rather work for myself. Since I was a little girl, and after watching Inuyasha, of course, I told myself I want to be either a mangaka or I want to do animation. And of course, it took a little bit of time to finally pinpoint what I was doing because I was drawing art for a long time and then I had to take a break due to personal reasons. And I'm finally getting back into it. But me selling at conventions, just making products, things like that, or it just recently happened because I finally pinpointed like, hey, you can't do everything at once. You can't create a manga. You can't do animation. You can't start selling at conventions all at the same time. You have to pick one, stick with it. And then once you kind of get that going, then you can kind of start doing other projects once you move through that. And that took a long time for me to um, process for some reason. I can't explain it. It just like I was all over the place trying to be passionate about everything because I see animation. I see someone do something. I think it was when Castlevania was submitted on Netflix, the opening when it was all just black and white and it's just like a bunch of scribbles, but it just creates like all of these movement that just blew me away when I saw that. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do animations where it's like people see it and say like, I want to do that. So hopefully someday I do have a couple manga and story ideas in like written down, but I haven't been able to put pen to paper just yet because I'm working on other things at the time.
Yeah, I get that for sure. Like, especially doing this podcasting stuff, because like, there's times where like I want to try to do streaming. There's times where I want to like,
Yeah.
write on the side, because like being a writer was something that I wanted to do since I was in high school, and then I just let go of that passion, and it
Oh.
comes back from like every now and then when I watch like really good series, or if I have really
Mhm.
good like ideas at the spur of the moment. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, like you, I'm focusing on just one task right now. I know like it's difficult to try to do like all these other
Yeah.
passion projects, and then you'll get burnt out really easily.
Yes, yes. I think what was it? I watched one of your podcasts and you wanted to do radio, right?
Uh, I not so much radio.
Like not.
I like more like voice acting. I think when I was growing up, I was really inspired by anime to try like voice acting. I thought
Mhm,
that maybe that was an avenue I can take, but
mhm.
I just never pursued it.
Hey, now's the chance. I mean, I've seen so many people do voice acting for small like indie projects or even just what is it where they do the animation, they keep the same animation the same as the show and they just like re voice
Oh
act
yeah,
everything. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember, but like
I know exactly what
people
you're
have
talking
been
about.
hired from that. They're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I've
No,
watched some of the Inuyasha episodes."
I had a guest who does that. Her name's Valerie Pierce. She did something like that. I forgot what the actual term is, but like she makes her own stories, and then she'll read over like a script, and then you see the panels
Uh,
of what the story is. So she does that, and like I want to try that too, but I don't know. I don't feel like I have, just being
uh,
realistic with myself. I feel like I don't have that kind of grittiness when it comes to being an actor. It's just I'll laugh at myself hearing myself say these lines or attempting to be a character.
I think you could. I mean, you can't just like set the bar for yourself. You gotta just keep pushing up, keep going, don't stop.
Yeah. Maybe in the future. I don't think I could do that right now. No, like even
Yeah,
like
one step at a time.
okay, so let's take a quick break here, JJ. Let's I'm gonna just see. Well, it'll keep recording, but I'll probably edit this out. See, refresh your page again. I think there's a slight lag on your
Okay.
end. If you want to start your own podcast like Spoiler Force, then sign up with Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of users like me to begin their podcasting journey. With easy to use tools, you can effectively get your podcast into different platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view your stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout offers ideas, tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you improve your podcast. Follow the link below, and once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This will let Buzzsprout know that I sent you and will also support Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want a simpler way to record both video and audio for your podcast, then sign up with StreamYard. StreamYard is the perfect program to create podcasts, host live streams, and even do video calls. There are many tools that can help you create and design your own personal studio. You can screen share, read live comments, and stream to different destinations like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also download your video and audio once you're done with your recording session. Follow the link below, and once you sign up with the basic or pro plan, you'll earn a $10 credit to use for StreamYard. Happy podcasting. We are back from the break. I apologize about the technical difficulties. There's connectivity issues on both ends here, but we got it to work. JJ's using her phone, so that's the good thing about StreamYard, right? You can use your phone. You don't have to rely on PCs or laptops and stuff like that. It'll sound just as good. What were we talking about before
We
we
were
went on this break?
talking about Jujutsu Kaisen and the director changing and moving on to creating his
Yes.
own company.
Yes, that's right. So,
Yes.
we ended that conversation pretty well. So, I guess we could just move on to the next topic. You said you were a black belt in, what was it, like sword fighting?
Yes. So I'm a black belt first dan. I did it for 3 years in Hedang Kondo. It's Kondo. It's the Korean version of Kendo. So sword fighting, wearing the armor, sparring, learning sword techniques with bamboo, wooden, and with real katanas.
So you wear that huge headpiece that like covers your face?
Yes. So the huge armor that kind of looks like fencing armor, the traditional. Yes, we got to wear that. But I learned all of the Korean
so you
things
could
about
actually
it.
like, could you actually like whoop someone's ass though? Like you had a stick.
Probably, but probably not because I haven't done it in forever. I did that 10 years ago, actually. I did it 10 years ago.
Do you still practice?
I don't have anyone to practice with. If people are wanting to learn, I could show them and then we can spar. I'd be more than happy to teach them.
Like you don't just like shadow box or like shadow
I
spar?
would love to have that, but I live in an apartment. If I had a house, I would probably buy one and then practice it in the garage. But yes, we did practice on one of those head dummies, and then we would like learn how to do the sumo is hand, head, sumo, mori, hori. It's like hand, head, waist. So it's a 3-point system, but we learned to do that all on attacking dummies or either sparring with someone or learning the techniques. But it was so fun. I did it for 3 years. Whenever I accomplished doing it, I was a part of the demo team. It was my sister and I, and then 2 other brothers who were a part of the demo team when I was there at the time. We would go to Taekwondo tournaments and we would just perform after the Taekwondo sparring finished. So it was really, really, really fun. There is, I don't believe this place that I learned it is there anymore. I mean, the Grandmaster moved his location, but after COVID, I believe they shut down, unfortunately.
Oh,
so
man.
Yeah, it's really sad, but it's super cool because whenever I see like stuff for Demon Slayer, I'm like, I want to do a cosplay contest and do Demon Slayer and sword tricks and jumping over people and make it look really real, but it's all choreographed. So
Do you have
that's
any
my.
swords at all?
I do actually. I
Like
have a
real
couple.
ones? Not just
Yes.
like the cosplay display ones, or like you have like
No.
legit.
I have the real bamboo sparring ones. I have a short one that is for quick movements. It's just for basically show. And then I have a longer one that is meant for sparring when you wear the armor. And then I have a wood sword for display of technique. There's over, I believe, 15 techniques that I learned. And then you can do those techniques that you learn with the wooden sword with a real sword as well. Usually, some of the techniques that require you to do a somersault or a cartwheel or jumping over something and then doing a dodge roll. So we learned how to do all of that with a sword. It was really fun. Yes.
You talk about like striking to like the head, the body, and the hand. Like, so
Mhm.
you actually like hit someone's hand to like disarm them? Is that what you do too?
Yes. So, like in the point system in Kendo and Kumdo, you have to hit their hand, you can hit their head, or you can hit their waist. And so it's like you do sumo. So you would have to hit it, and then when you make the contact, you have to say the name of it, or it doesn't count. So that you have to go like sumo, and then like hit it, and then back away really quickly. Or then when you do sumo mori, when you hit the head, you can do the same thing. You can hit the head really fast and like do a flick, hit it. But if people block it, it doesn't count. So you learn how to like move the sword, like you touch the tip of the sword, knock it, and then you move really quickly with your reflexes to hit the hand or the head. So basically, if you and I were sparring, we would have our swords conjoined at the tip of the base of the sword. So like I actually have this mini example right here. So with the bamboo sword, when you're fighting with it, you have to hit in this range when you're sparring someone. So basically, our swords would be right at this point, and then you would have to hit the sword away and hit them really fast. It's basically you're just hoping your reflexes are faster than the other person's, and
But you,
then when
you
you
can't
hit
just like
them,
you can't parry like the bottom, like the.
yes, like you can go up to them if you lock. If you go
Uh,
really close, you can like conjoin your hilt basically, and then push off of the person, and then like you
okay.
try and strike them again. So there's a lot. I'll have to send you some videos on some of the kendo sparring because there's kendo. When you do kendo, you see the traditional sparring, and that's what kumdo does as well. But kumdo is a lot more like we learn how to snuff a candle out. So we would basically do a lot of meditation. There'd be a candle, they'll light it, and we'd have to do a lot of movements. And then we would basically like push towards the candle and it'll snuff it out. And we did a lot of breathing techniques, all of those things. There is actually, if someone wants to sign up, there is a dojo for kendo in Addison in Dallas, Texas. So if someone is interested, there is a place that does it. It's not kendo, but it's kendo. So definitely go check that out.
I think the only thing that I've seen, like, I say kundo, right? Is that how you say it?
Kendo,
Okay.
yeah.
So I've seen that in a lot of like Korean dramas. So I like the one specifically that stands out. I don't know. This is an older, like a much older Korean drama. It's called All In.
Okay.
The story is the premise is pretty much like a guy whose life is based on gambling. Like he gambles with his
Okay.
life, he gambles with his money, he gambles with romance. But his best
Hmm.
friend, or like what the secondary character,
Hmm.
the guy who, or the character who never gets the girl, pretty much his friend does that. He's like he they show him like training in kumdo, and like he actually fights in the drama using that style while
Really?
helping his friend. So like that's what makes you think of that fighting style. When I think of like kumdo, I think of that drama, or like some other like Korean-esque dramas that like show people training that, when they do like their training montages, they'll do like
Yes.
racquetball or that. So
Racquetball.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
That's there's a lot of that in Korean dramas, like older, like the '90s, like or late '90s, early 2000s. Like racquetball
Mhm.
was one that they
I
always
love
had.
racquetball.
Yeah, I don't know why they always promoted that though. I just it was always there in these like old school dramas. Like if you
Yes.
had like quote unquote money, you could afford to go play racquetball.
This is true, actually. Whenever I was trying to get back into a club or a rec center, all of it was like very expensive for racquetball. So I was very surprised. I was very
Usually, I think
surprised.
like I always think of like golf when it comes to like the high end clubs or like the rich people clubs. The sports they play
Yeah.
is usually just like golf or just gambling, but never
This
racquetball.
is
I never thought of racquetball like that.
I guess it's because it's not like outdoors. Like you can play tennis anywhere, but if you want to play tennis with the AC, it's going to cost you a little.
Yeah, you're pretty much just paying for the AC.
Pretty much, pretty much.
Have you studied anything else though besides Kondo? Like, have you done like any boxing, taekwondo?
I would love to probably do kickboxing. A lot of the time, usually they do teach kickboxing in the same place they did at my dojo, but I rolled my ankle, so I
Oof.
have a fractured ankle. But I've played soccer about 15 years consecutively, but I took a break. So probably overall, I've played soccer 25 years of my life,
Oh
but I
wow.
played soccer consecutively from like the age of 3 all the way up to 19. I had the option to go professional, but I liked it too much to do it into something I had to do. So it was a lot. That's the only other sport or anything that I've done.
So so it felt like more of a job than really like just out of wanting to do it. Then is that kind of like what happened?
Yes. So,
Okay.
what was it? So my family, so I come from a family of 8, so I have 5 siblings, and we all played soccer. So I have 2 older siblings. So when they played, I have a later in the year birthday, so I had to be held back a year. But when I was ready to play, I was very passionate about it, and I'm still am passionate about it. uh, when it came down to playing, since our mom and dad coached all my soccer teams and my siblings' soccer teams, we had to learn all the positions because we needed to fill those positions if the other kids didn't want to play that position. So I learned how to play keeper, I learned how to play defense, midfield, forward. I did hurt my back one year where I fell off of a playground and the whoever pulled it away, like there was sand and they moved it from the jungle gym and I fell and landed on my back so I couldn't
Ooh.
bend. Yeah. And so I was stuck playing keeper. It was like a maybe month before the season started and we didn't have a goalkeeper. So I just stayed in goalkeeper full time and my back slowly got to heal a little bit, but then I just loved it because people would be cheering for me when I stopped the goal, and people would actually ask me to guest play in tournaments just as their goalkeeper. And I remember we were in a tournament one time, and one mom was screaming to her daughter, "If you score this goal, we'll buy you a pony." And we would do shootouts. And of course, I wouldn't let them score, but it was always great because you'd hear the crowd cheering and then the crowd cheering when you stop the goal. And when you did anything like that, it was really soccer was a big thing for me, but at the same time, I kind of regret not going professional because like I look back at it and I'm, oh my God, I would have loved that. But as a child, or basically like a 15, 16-year old, I basically was like, no, I love it right now because I don't have to do it. It's because I want to do it. So I was kind of scared of that a little bit.
My dad was a goalie playing soccer.
Really?
Yeah,
Really? What
yeah.
about you?
No, no.
No?
Soccer. So I'm too like my feet are too heavy. I'm very clumsy. So I don't play like team sports well either. Like I tried flag football, but
Mhm.
it's too much pressure for me when I'm on a team because like I hate being the person that like oh because of Ricky that's why we lost or I don't like that.
Wow.
I don't like having those thoughts in my head. So it's too much
Oh,
pressure for me. It gives me like really bad like anxiety.
anxiety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, my dad was a goalie. He played soccer from like I think late middle school all the way through high school. Then he joined like he didn't really go to college or anything, but he played like
Mhm.
with like outside leagues. So like
Oh, wow.
yeah, so like for me like I'm Hmong, so like there's a huge Hmong population up in the Midwest and in Michigan specifically. He was playing in like leagues with like
Mhm.
where the Hmong community would all play together and like every like depending on like what kind of event it was, he'd go and him and his team they'd go play and my I was still young, like very little at this time, but from what my
Mhm.
mom and my dad told me from their stories, it was like my dad
Mhm.
got really more well known in the soccer community because he was playing in like this very like what's the what's the word like I can't think of it like over like an overtime type of deal. So
Oh,
like
okay. He's well known because he's been there. He's was
yeah
a part of it for so long, so
yeah
everyone just kind of knew who he was.
yeah. So it was like an overtime event where both teams, him
Oh,
and the opposite teams,
the
or like
the
sudden death
PK?
type. Yeah, the penalty
Yeah,
kick.
yeah,
Yeah.
PK. Fair enough.
So
Okay,
it's
yeah.
like yeah, him and the other goalie from the other team blocked everyone else's kick. So it came
Wow.
down to him and that goalie. And so
Uh-huh.
when my dad was like, "All right, he can go first." So the
Uh-huh.
guy kicked my dad, or no, my dad went first. My dad kicked
Uh-huh.
and he scored. And
Wow.
then came to the other guy.
Oh gosh, that would have
If he
killed me,
scored,
the
yeah.
anxiety.
So so it was on my dad, and the guy kicked, and my dad saw it coming, and he blocked it, and the crowd went crazy.
That's
They
so
apparently, from what my mom said, they carried my dad up in the air and like they were celebrating. Like it's like literally just a local event, but like the fact that he was able to
Yes.
do this, I believe that the other team they were playing was like a Laos team. They were like out of state
Okay.
or something like that. I think
Wow.
that's what it is. I could be wrong, but like
Mhm.
that team that they were playing against were like really good.
Really good.
Yeah,
Wow.
and
That's so cool.
he blocked the last kick, and apparently that's still kind of like that story. If you ask like the really old like the older people that played soccer with my dad, you ask
Uh,
them that story, they'll say yeah, that's what happened. But
that's so
yeah,
cool.
I kind of wish I
That
was there. I wish I could remember that, but my mom was like, yeah,
mhm.
you were too little. You were like only 2 or 3 when that happened, so
No
you
one no one
probably don't.
recorded no one was
No,
like recording or has an old video
I don't.
camera?
I don't think so, man. Right now at this point, it's just word of mouth. So,
But
um,
that's I
yeah.
love soccer so much. Just like with that, that's just so amazing. Like when you just talk about stories and everything like that, it just makes me like more excited and more happy about it. I definitely remember there was one shot, I think it was a PK kick, and I think I was maybe 14, 13 years old, and the girl shot it really hard, and I just like stuck out my arm and like it didn't move. It just like hit my hand and then the ball dropped. And then my dad
Anime
said,
moment.
yeah. Yes. And then my dad had to tell me afterwards. He's like, the coach just turned to me and said, "How did you do that? Her hand just put it out and the ball just fell. Like, how did she do that?" I had to like what you just said. Like I saw it coming and I just stuck out my arm and it just stopped it. So we just have those anime moments. But did you hear about that soccer anime that's coming out?
I think so. I
Yeah.
there's so many sports anime. Like I I watched something sumo not too long ago. Like it was literally a sumo anime, and I never
Okay.
thought I'd get into that, and that was really cool. Um, I know there's another Prince of Tennis movie coming out.
Okay.
That has like a lot of hype to it because a lot of the I guess
People
old
grew up
heads,
with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
old heads of anime are more excited for that. I know there was like an ice skating one that came out, and there's like a swimming
Yuri
one,
on
like
ice.
yeah,
Yes. Yes,
there's like a
Yuri on
water polo
ice.
one too. There's and apparently there's a was it badminton anime too?
Badminton.
Yeah, it's insane like what you can do with sports anime. I think honestly I blame Haikyuu. Haikyuu
Yeah, probably.
definitely like I know that there was other basketball ones too that were like really popular, but Haikyuu like raised the
It
bar.
solidified the
Yeah.
sports
Yeah.
anime.
It really did. Like my niece, she loves Haikyuu, and she has like the jersey. She wants to like be
Is she play
Hinata.
volleyball?
No, that's the thing too, right? Like kids who don't even like volleyball will watch it because of the anime, and I know like a lot of folks who play volleyball, and because of the sport or because of the anime, they're like even more into the sport now because they want to try to like emulate those moves or like because like apparently from what I've never watched it, I just know that it's really hyped. From what I
Okay.
watched or from
Uh-huh.
what I heard is like they're pretty spot on with like the motions and the movements
Mhm.
and like serving, spiking, blocking. Like it's pretty spot on to like apparently they use like frames of other people or professionals playing volleyball too.
Yes. That's what I'm excited about, the soccer anime. I don't know what it's called, but like talking about um, correct anime, like Cells at Work. I've watched doctors review Cells at Work, and they compliment how accurate it is. And people will comment, be like, "This is how I was able to finish my testing in school because
Oh
of
my
this
god,
anime."
so that work. We're
So
gonna
I
like
think that's really
recommend that for
cool.
doctors. Like, yeah,
Exactly. No, there
for
it's
your
so
bar exam,
cool.
you gotta watch Cells at Work.
And that's what I think really cool is about like with anime just growing more, you just see more and more diverse things that it just doesn't stop at like one thing or fantasy or slice of life. It's anything. They can make anything into anime, and I think that's just really amazing and how people story tell and
Oh yeah,
the accuracy.
I think that's what really like makes anime stand out. I've mentioned this so many times on this podcast that you know, folks are like, you know, that people want like a lot of representation in anime, which I understand. But you got
Mhm,
folks that don't. It's always the people who don't watch anime or read manga. Like we have that
mhm.
in anime and in manga. There is things like that. You just have to find it.
Yes.
There's a bit of everything for everyone in anime and in manga. You
Well,
just whether it's popular or not, there's a story to tell. Like there's even MMA mangas out there like Baki. You know, like it's kind
yes.
of like over the top, but it's still mixed martial arts. Um,
Yes.
you know, Hajime no Ippo, like the boxing one.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's a fencing one, but that would be pretty cool too.
I think
Um,
so.
but there's like, you know, there's like music related ones. You know, there's a lot of like, uh, you know, same sex relationship ones. You just gotta like find the right story or the right genre
Mhm.
in anime and manga to like find the right story that'll appeal to you.
Yes.
But yeah, that's pretty much my rant on that. It just I want listeners to know, like, you know, is anime and manga is not just like My Hero or Naruto or, you know, or Dragon Ball. There's so much more, that there's so much content that I don't think anyone can watch or read all of it
Yes.
in a
It
lifetime.
it's like, people that just want a slice of life, that just
Mhm.
probably watch TV and just want the drama. There's a bunch of those
Yeah.
anime out there. So if you just need so you've ran out of regular TV to watch, just give anime a try and be
Oh yeah.
like, just ask anyone, go online and be like, "Hey, this is what I normally watch. I've never watched anime before." I'm pretty sure someone will reach out and give you a lot of great suggestions for anyone that's watching right now. So definitely give it a try. If you're not into fantasy, there's slice of life. If you're not into something more slice of life, there's always fantasy. If you're not into romance, there's action,
Yeah.
thriller, horror, even. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Some of the
I
horror has kicked back a little bit. I definitely know from older generation is a little bit more gory. It's gotten a little light for some mainstream shows. You have to get a little bit specific finding something more a little gory.
I think so. Some of the horror anime I remember,
Mhm.
it was gory, but I think the ones now it's more like psychological. So like it's
This is
more
true.
it's
It
not so
gets in
much
your
based off,
head.
yeah, it's not so much about the ghost, but it's more about like the story behind the ghost or like the haunting. Like the writers are diving more into psychological thrillers now versus
Okay.
like the actual look of the horror. Like because I read one where like I forgot the actual name, but I read a manga where like the guy runs into a little girl in
Mhm.
like a in like the middle of the street or some shit like that, and she's a ghost, and he like he gets haunted by her. The story wasn't scary. It was just more visually horrifying.
Oh my gosh.
So like
Yes.
I didn't enjoy it. I was just like, okay, so I'm reading this. It looks scary, but it's not as scary as I thought.
Okay. I don't recall anything off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure a couple of years back I read something, but I think the only thing that has like a lot of gore that I've presently watched recently is Parasite. That's the only thing that has like a lot of gore in it. It's not super scary. You're just like, oh my god, this is a
But that's
lot.
one with with Migi, right? The hand creature. Parasite
Yes.
the Max. Oh,
Yes.
I love the anime.
Yes. It's so good. I love the anime.
Yeah. I was watching it like the series on Netflix, and my sister like she was
Mhm.
listening to it. She saw Migi, and she's like, "Oh, that little creature's kind of cute." I'm like, that's his hand, right? Like,
What did she say after that?
she just like, okay, and she just walked away. Like, she just caught a glance of it.
Okay.
But like, yeah, it was like the episode I was on where my sister saw it. Like it was right when Migi finally like him and the main character and Migi finally like talk and get to know each
Okay.
other. But yeah,
Yeah.
overall that's for like a one season type of show. That was actually really good. It was
No, yeah, I
um
really liked it. It took like a couple minutes to get in. I'm like, I don't know. And then it just kind of took off and I'm like, I need to watch another episode. I need to know what's going to happen.
when his mom gets like taken over by the parasites. Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
God. Spoiler
I
if anyone hasn't
Oh,
watched it
I mean,
yet.
by this time, if anyone has not watched it by this time, it's way too late. But no,
Oh my
like
God.
that part was
Oh,
probably what stuck out to me the most because like his dad died too, and
yeah.
that was insane.
It blew me away, because I'm not used to so many things happening for like, the main character in any anime. Usually it's like, oh, the only biggest one was like Demon Slayer. I'm like, oh my God, this is the first episode.
Oh, then you'll love it. Like I said, you'll love Attack on Titan. And that first episode for Attack on Titan,
Oh, yeah, no, I watched and I was like, oh my gosh. It was Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer. I was just blown away in the first episodes. I'm like, but I think I watched Parasite first
oh, okay.
before I watched Attack on Titan, and then I watched Demon Slayer. So I was just kind of like, okay, this is happening. But again, I definitely know the plot for Attack on Titan got me more. But Parasite was great. It wasn't super long, it wasn't super short. It just had a perfect balance, but definitely a lot of shocking episodes when it came down to his mom, it came down to his dad, and then when the girl that he loves and everything, I'm like, oh, I feel so bad for her. I feel bad for him, what he's going through.
Yeah,
But
I didn't think that
especially with
ending
the
was.
puppy when he just
Yeah.
threw, I'm like, no,
Oh
okay,
my
I need to
god.
stop watching. This is
I wasn't.
Marley and me all over.
No, there's one part that like I thought that was funny was like how the parasite lady was holding the baby, and like she kind
Yes.
of like just held it like a person. Like the ladies were like, that's not normal. Like why is she holding the baby like that?
Just why are you doing that?
Yeah, yeah, but
I liked her at the end. I felt bad for her, but I started to I liked her character a little bit more at the end.
did you like Tokyo Ghoul? Because it kind of like has
I
like that psychological is it
I haven't watched it.
okay.
My brother tells me, and he suggests everything. Usually, if he's watched it, he'll make a suggestion. I didn't watch Overlord, and he's like, "If you don't watch anything, watch Overlord." I'm like, "Okay," and then I immediately got hooked, and I'm like, "I love this so much."
I watched I'm like halfway through season 1 of Overlord.
Okay.
I do like the comedic aspect. Like I love comedic isekai. Like Konosuba is one of my favorites. Like
Hmm.
it has such a great take on the isekai genre, just making fun of everything. Um
Yes.
I don't know. Have you heard of the Isekai Quartet? That's
Mm-mm.
like a chibi show of like Overlord, Konosuba, Ray Zero, and Tanya the
No.
Eagle. Oh man, there's a movie coming out this summer of
Okay.
that. Yeah, so it's 2 seasons, but like each episode's only like 10 to 11 minutes long. It's very short. There's just like a bunch of shorts. So
Okay.
it's fun seeing all these like characters interact, and the
But
best
like
part is
sheepy.
Yeah, they're like chibi. Like it's kind of like the Attack on Titan school version, if you want to say, like it's like that.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I
kind
saw
of got
that. I
like
saw
that
that.
style of these isekais all merging together. But what's funny, what makes it so much more enjoyable is that it's still the main cast, like for each of those characters. So
Oh
that's
wow.
why I love it. Like
You
when you're
just want to
watching,
see them interact with each
yeah,
other.
yeah, because like one of the girls, her name is Rie Takahashi. She does the voice
Mhm.
for Megumin and Konosuba, and she's also the voice for Emilia in Ray Zero. And there's a
Okay.
scene where they both talk to each other. So like it's kind of like she's just talking to
She's
herself.
talking to
Yeah.
herself. What is it? It's a paradox.
Yeah.
Talking to myself, talking to myself.
So I love like Isekai Quartet. It's so funny, and like with Overlord in it, it's funny because Ainz is like the strongest character ever. And then
Yes.
when he runs into one of the Konosuba characters in Isekai Quartet, he's like, "Yo,
Mhm.
that spell you're using on me, that's like a beginner's level spell. That won't hurt me." And he gets hurt by it. So I just thought that was funny.
Yes. He's like, I am this powerful being, and then just all of a sudden got hurt.
He's like the
That's funny.
rules of this world doesn't match up to what's happening right now. So I just thought that was funny seeing like how Ainz is so powerful, and like and the character he was quote unquote fighting was Aqua, the goddess of Konosuba. She's a complete idiot. And so it's like she's a goddess, but like she's so dumb. So like she casts the spell on Ainz, and he's like, that's not gonna hurt me. He gets hurt, and he's like man, like this sucks. Like the rules here
Just
suck.
like
I can't defend that.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it's hilarious. You have to watch that, or at least
Uh,
you don't even need like context of the other shows, like because in the
mhm.
first episode they kind of
Uh,
like go in each of their worlds, and you kind of get like a glimpse of
a
what they're like.
gist of it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then when they all meet, and that's where it's funny.
Oh, okay. I'll have to watch it. It sounds really funny because again, I just like something with humor. I mean, it not 100% humor, but I'm just like Overlord was just so funny because I didn't get that kind of story from looking at the cover art. So, it's kind of just
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, it just looks like kind of like a dark dungeon game anime.
yeah.
I don't know. And then it's just like, oh, he's a guy that is locked in a game and completely changes the NCPU's background. And then I'm
You'll
like,
get
okay.
you'll get that with Konosuba. Like Konosuba, you think that it's kind of an adventure anime, like it's a guy and his friends. Nah,
Mhm.
Kazuma and his squad are by far the funniest, probably most real squad ever. Like, because
Okay.
like when Kazuma gets he gets isekai'd into this world, right? So he
Mhm.
has the mindset of like what we have today. Like he's just a regular boy, a
Mhm.
degenerate. Like he has that mindset. And so when
A
he's in this
distinguished gentleman.
yeah, so like when he's in this world, he tells like the ladies like, I'm all for equal rights, so I'm not afraid to hit a girl. Like, he'll say that, and then like the girls in the Isekai world are like, oh my god, this man's crazy, like and they run away from him. So it's funny just seeing this protagonist have like a mindset of like a regular dude and going into
Yes.
this world with those like with the thought process of that. It's hilarious.
Well, I definitely can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
I'll have to make it put it on my anime list. I'll have
Oh yeah,
to
definitely.
text
If
you
anything,
afterwards.
definitely. I would recommend this over Attack on Titan though, just because
Okay.
of the comedic factor. Like, if you don't want to
Yes.
watch anything serious, Konosuba is it. It's only 2 seasons, 12 episodes each, with 2 OVAs for both seasons, and then
Mhm.
there's the movie. And then season 3 is supposed to drop either this year or early next year.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
And then the light novel's already finished, and I'm so tempted to buy the light novel series just so I can read the rest of the story.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind. I have to just finish Attack on Titan. I think I
Yeah.
caught everything up to the last 2 seasons that were published.
Okay.
So I've just been seeing memes of Aaron like next to his dad or
Oh,
something, or who is just like making
yeah.
that crazy
Or he's
face
just
of
staring
like
at like I've seen. What's
like
funny is
do it, or I don't remember the meme, but like again, I haven't watched it. I'm trying not to spoil it for myself, but I just see it
okay.
all the
Well, I can
time.
tell you this: the meme comes from a crucial part of the story, so
Uh,
it makes it even funnier when you see this meme. When after getting the context of where it's from, which scene it's from, it makes the
yes.
meme even greater because, like, again with this whole like Will Smith incident that's happened and that's
Yes.
still going on.
I
Like they
think I
have
saw
Aaron.
one of those.
Yeah, no, there was a picture, right? It started off with the photo of Aaron telling Will, like, go slap Chris Rock. And then someone
Yeah.
made a video version of it with Aaron in the background telling Will Smith, go smack Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And so it just made it so much funnier. The fact that someone took time to even edit a video of it and animate it. It was just like, man, these people have so much time to do
That's
something like this.
That's what I love about anyone that can draw, art community, anime community. When I'm just like watching someone animate something, I'm like, bless you. You just did a favor for everyone.
No, even like the JoJo one. That was one that was going around, like
Oh,
with Chris Rock and
yes.
Will Smith, like, the
And
whole
it's like they're
Jotaro,
walking.
like, yeah. Like,
He's up and people animated him walking
yeah,
and just like
the scans
jump.
go at each other. It's just oh my god, like whoever comes up with this stuff it's insane how quickly they can do it.
I know. I love it so much. Hopefully one day I will have one and be
Oh man,
known for it.
it's honestly it's all about timing too with these
Mhm.
memes. Like
Yes.
so if you drop it too early, then people might not see it. You drop it too late, it's not funny no more. So you have to like find a perfect time. It's
Oh
always
my,
within like depending on how hot that topic is. Then it's always within
yes.
like a week ratio where you have that much time to drop the joke before it goes old.
Mhm. Mhm. No, I definitely agree with it. I mean, like, what was it? The new Pokemon starters
Oh
got
yeah.
released, and then everyone's like, "Okay, here's merchandise for it already. We already made stickers." I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Oh my god, I can't draw that fast."
No, and the same thing too, like with I was talking to Lilith's art about this too, like with Genshin. Like
Oh
Genshin
my
is so
god.
hot right now.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I don't even know when this I don't want to say fad, but I don't think that this Genshin fandom will go away anytime soon.
I don't
There's
think so.
always new patches, there's always new characters, new waifus, new husbandos.
Yes.
Artists are like taking advantage of these characters so fast.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I haven't got into the Genshin Impact thing because it's just, again, there's so much art and everything going into it. I just try and focus on things that I'm passionate about. I'm like, let me just stay in my little bubble over here. But I see it all the time. I see people drawing, cosplayers, people making artwork, keychains, stickers,
Yeah.
anything. And I'm just like, oh my god, I don't know how you're drawing these many characters with so much detail and like pumping these out. You are a machine.
It's insane. The same thing goes for like podcasting too. Like when new anime series drop and people are so quick to get it out within less than a week,
Oh
and they
my
were already
gosh.
like review it, and I'm pretty sure they're like
You're
taking
like,
notes and stuff like
come
that.
on, Ricky, you
Yeah,
gotta speed it up a little bit.
I take forever when it comes to editing. That's why like all my episodes are pre-recorded like a month ahead or so because I take forever with editing. I hate
Well,
editing is what I drag the most
oh
about
my
like being
gosh.
a podcaster because for the folks and listeners who are new or don't know, I do all this on my own. So I do
Wow.
all the recording on my own. I email all my guests on my own. I do the video editing on my own. I do
Wow.
everything 100% on my own. The only thing I'm not doing on my own is like potentially I guess I could just say it on this episode because I think by the time this episode drops it'll be announced, but like my roommate is working on a original character for the brand.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
awesome. Congratulations.
so like her name is Sora. We're gonna just it's very simple. So like we're using like like the initials S and F from Spoiler Force. So we're
Mhm.
using Sora for S, and then we're probably we have a male character name picked out. Like we're gonna call him Finn, but we
Uh-huh.
haven't thought of his design yet. So we're that'll be later.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure by the time this episode drops, I would have already announced Sora publicly. But then
that's
Finn,
so cool.
yeah, but Finn, we're still in the process of this character. We don't want to like pump these
Mm.
characters out too quickly because you
Mhm.
know things might change. So we're sticking with Sora right now.
Mm.
She's gonna be the first OC for Spoiler Force, and then hopefully in the future we can try to because like my roommate and my cousin, you met him. He does
Yeah.
art too. So like he hopefully like he can try to make some money off of the prints that we sell, and like
That's
probably make like stickers or something like that. Start off
that's
small.
That's awesome. Yes, I've been thinking of that as well for my brand. Kind of keeping Crunchyroll in mind of their mascot. I'm like,
Mhm.
I need a mascot. I need someone that I can market that's my character, no one else's. So I'm like, okay, do I go with a guy and a girl? Do I go with just a girl? And do I go with just a guy? Or so I'm definitely in that thought process of trying to decide something for my company as well. So I'm excited to see Sora's design, and I
Yeah,
can't wait.
it's turning out to be really good. It's like my roommate has a very like it's a little bit more towards realism, but he's kind of like
Mhm.
making it more anime-ish
Uh-huh.
for because of the podcast. But yeah, it's turning out really good. I love the color schemes that we picked out.
Uh-huh.
Eventually we will talk about like how we created how we got her design. I don't want to say it just yet. Probably like
Yeah.
eventually later episodes. But
Uh-huh.
excuse me, like it's turning out really good. But yeah,
That's so good.
I think with what's funny like with mascots for brands and stuff, female characters tend to stand out a lot more, and I think because of like what
Mhm.
Crunchyroll did, and like even with Vocaloids like Hatsune Miku, like
Yes.
the anime girls stand out much more.
Yes.
Male characters like I feel like this is just my thoughts on this. I feel like male characters, they have to have a certain aesthetic to really stick out. Like I
Mhm.
know like the whole K-pop look is kind of a thing right now, and then like
Mhm.
in Genshin, there's the whole like the slim build, very
Some
not
short hair, but a little long hair.
yeah, like they're not like super buff like Goku and Vegeta, but like they have like a sporty kind of look. The whole
Yes.
like based on their physique, very
A little
tall,
bit
very
of
slim.
what is it? A little bit of mystery, but a little
Yeah.
bit. He's not so much of a pretty boy, but he's still very powerful, kind of thing.
I blame like a lot of anime for that. Like the really like kind of like Saint Seiya or like Ronin Warriors, the very
Yes.
pretty boy
Yes,
fighters.
I will contribute to the pretty boys. I was showing a friend a lot of old sketches, and it's like I sent her all of the all guy sketches that I have, and she's like, "You have a type," and I was like, "I guess so." Just
like
emo pretty boys.
yeah, that kind of like I guess not stereotype, but that kind of archetype of that character of the pretty boy anime character it's always been a thing. Like even when you watch like I remember one specifically, like in Final Fantasy VII, the
Mhm.
movie, the villain, Kadaj. He looks like a
Oh my
Japanese rock star.
gosh.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I have 3 versions of it. I have the Blu-ray, I have the DVD, and then I have the PSP version.
I have 3 versions too. I have the the bootlegged one, which is actually pretty good quality.
Really?
Yeah, I have a bootleg one before they released it in the States. My cousin guy actually got it for me. The
Okay.
subtitles are actually are like pretty good too, so it's not like like off-brand subtitles stuff. It's actually
Mhm,
pretty legit. The quality is really good. So that was like
mhm,
the Japanese version of it, and then I have
mhm.
the Blu-ray combo, which comes with the Blu-ray and DVD. But
The
um,
extended.
yeah, the complete version I have that. So there's
Yes.
two of that. So um,
Yes.
yeah, but like Final Fantasy, man, I think the Final Fantasy kind of like started that trend of or at least
Emo
maybe
pretty boy.
yeah, like I don't say they started, but like they definitely contributed. When you look at like Cloud or Zack,
Yes.
Sephiroth,
Yes.
Squall,
What
Titus or Titus, depending on how you say
he's
it.
he's jumping off my name. Black hair, red cape. I can't think of his name. I
Vincent.
think it starts with a V. Yes, I was gonna say Vincent. Starts with a
Yeah.
V.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he's
him.
definitely like very emo-esque, like edge.
Sasuke, the first Sasuke,
Yeah, like
covering
the
his
Itachi
face.
kind of look. Yeah, definitely very mysterious. Like that guy, definitely is a standout. Like like it's just those kind of like style of male characters in like animation or like gaming that really stand out, especially
Mhm,
and I think it definitely caters to the younger crowd the same way
mhm.
like how girls or anime girls who are drawn with very busty or very curvy draws to the male viewers, they have to make these
Yes.
male animation characters for the female viewers. So like
Yes.
it's what it is. But like to kind
Yes.
of just bring it back though, like for the male male mascot that we're trying to build for Spoiler Force. Like I cannot decide if I want to do that or make it or have him be more like realistic. Or
You
like
should
just
just
like a
like have
regular.
you should have like an anonymous poll and just like be very vague and just be like, what do you like between blah 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 and see what people choose.
But that's the thing too, right? Because like with podcasts, I can't tell if there's a lot of female viewers. Like on YouTube's the algorithm, they'll show you like the percentage of
Mhm.
male and female viewers, but that's like every month. It cycles differently. So
Oh.
if I go to like my YouTube listeners of all time, I think I only have like less than 5% of female viewers or listeners. So like it's hard to kind of get
I
that opinion because if I make a male character, and
mhm.
not saying that maybe there are male fans who will like that character, but like
I was about to say.
yeah, but I
They'll
want
put
to.
in their input and be like, I like a guy with long hair.
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but just when I think of it, like I'm thinking of like of the female listeners or the viewers too. Like, what did they think of? What kind of male character would they be interested in? Like, because for me, if I could, I would probably just make this male character very like nerdy. Like very regular, just like a regular dude. And then
Regular.
there's Sora, who's like very pretty, very like very out there. And then next to her is the other mascot character, and he's just very like
Hey,
boring and quiet.
I mean, hey, you could do something really funny. Like, if you do like comic strips, you can have like an episode of being like, he just turns into this very pretty boy and be like, oh my God, this ordinary guy just got like a makeover and just blew Sora away.
It could be.
Like, who is this person?
Yeah, that's one reason. Like, I want to stick to like some original characters for my brand too, right? Because you can branch them off and see like
Yes.
for like different designs, or hopefully, what one of my goals is to kind of gain traction for these characters, so other artists can have their takes on them. Like, I would
Yes.
love to see, like, whether it's you or like whether it's other artists that I speak to
I
have their take on these original characters
I
that
was
we
just
custom
about
made.
to say, I'm excited for the launch, so maybe I can draw some fan art, and that's what will get your name out there as well. I'm really excited, so because then people will like, oh my God, I love your character design. Can I draw it?
Right.
And I was very much like that when I was first drawing. Whenever I would see someone's character, I'd be like, I love your character. Can I draw it? And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. Yes. And they're like, can we draw anything of yours? I'm like, I don't finish my own drawings. I don't know who OCs are. I don't have any of those.
Who is
It's
this
because
OC?
yeah, because I never liked finishing or drawing my own characters. I loved drawing other people's characters. I'm just like, I love your character. Can I please draw? And then people would be so nice to me and just be like, oh my God, you want to draw my character? And I'm like, yes, please. And sometimes I would surprise people for their birthdays when I would just be like, I'll draw their character in secret and then just like post it and be like, happy birthday. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't know you were drawing this for me. And I was like, yeah. But this was a long, long time ago when I was on DeviantArt.
Oh, yeah, that site is still up. There's like that. There's
It
Drawing
is. It
Road
is.
and I
It
don't know. I don't
is.
know many other art sites, but
Newgrounds.
oh my God, Newgrounds. That sounds like,
Yes.
wasn't that like a gaming site at one point? Newgrounds.
I think so, but it like turned into multimedia.
It
I
was like,
know like Jazza started there, was on Newgrounds. And recent anime, was an animation artist. I think his name is Red Minus. Off the top of my head, oh my God, his art, his animation is amazing. He has like some 11-second videos, and you would have just laughed your tail off just thinking of like, oh my God, this is 11 seconds of gold because of what he just animated. So yeah, he does Newgrounds too, but I haven't really posted on there. I know I've signed up for it, but I haven't really been on it in a while.
who are some of the other artists that you follow? Before we were recording, we were talking about like some of the artists that you enjoy that
So
are more like mature, like do more mature content.
Yeah, so more mature content, there would be Shep. Her, if you Google her on Twitter, it's just SHEP, Shep. She does a lot of gory art, but it's her art is very feminine, black and white, very detailed. She does a lot of 3D art, but like if you're wanting to draw females, I really draw a lot of inspiration from her, especially when it comes to her simplistic art. Um, she has been around for a long time. There was one specific thing. Oh, I don't know if you know who Jinja Ito is.
No.
She drew one of his characters in her art style, and his people thought it was official art because she did it so well, and he had to make a public tweet saying it wasn't official Jinja Ito art, and people claim it all of the time, saying like they'll draw it, they'll eyeball it, trace it, whatever, and they'll say it's their art. But she drew this, and I'm like, I know that person. She used to follow me on DeviantArt. But there's Shep, Slugbox. Slugbox is he slowly draws NSFW art. He draws a lot of the girls. He has his own comic. He has his own characters. He has a bunch of them. There's Tenno, Nellico, Black River. He has a ongoing comic with them, and that's all he draws. And then he'll do like thank you gifts for other artists. He'll ask other artists to do like guest in his comics because he loves those characters. I watch a lot of his live streams, and he's just basically like, "Oh, who cares about other people's opinion? It's how you care about the art. Just go ahead and do it. Don't care about what other people think. Just draw." Stop trying to do stuff like very perfect. Just go out there and just do it. So he's really down to earth. I think a lot of my motivation came from him as an artist. I mean, he does draw very, very anime style. It's not any way, shape, or form like realistic. Like you're just like, oh my god, her boobs are like down to her knees. But his art style is very gorgeous. If you just see some of his fully completed pieces of work and you just look at the detail, I'm like, oh my god, the shading, the minute highlights in certain areas, you're just in awe of the detail that he has done. And but those are just a couple artists that I follow. When it comes down to like finding motivation to become a vending artist or selling products, there is two main people that I watch. There is one called Bailey J. She has been doing and working from home for as long as I've been watching her. She just makes and does a bunch of vlogs on YouTube, and I find a lot of motivation in watching her. She talks about and shows you her design process. She just takes you in the day in her life, and I just feel like, oh my god, I wish she was my friend. Like you feel like you're their friend because you watch them every single day or you watch their vlogs, and she's just so cool, and she's like, look at this design, I've ordered this from this manufacturer, and she talks about um, what the process was. She'll show you the designs, or when she does Twitch streaming, she'll even sometimes have people go along with her. And when she's designing something and get some input, there's that. And then Catnip as well. Her name's Catnip on YouTube. And she's from the UK, and she's so sweet. She's just so cute. And she hustles just the same. I watch her and she's like, we're moving into a new studio. And I'm like, I will get there. I want to be her. I want to have my own studio and sell online and sell my own products and everything. I'm like, that's what I want. Go to conventions, sell everything. Those. So it's like there's a genre of artists that I follow, but I grab little inspiration, little other things. Slugbox doesn't go to conventions. He just recently started making merchandise of his own characters, but the ones that I've been watching for inspiration of going to conventions and selling stuff is Bailey J and Catnip. Those are two amazing ladies that I watch.
You never thought about vlogging or doing Twitch streaming?
Oh my God. This is like the first time I'm showing my face. So I'm just like,
I mean, like even on Twitch streaming, you don't have to show your face. Like, I forgot
I
who, but there's so many artists on Instagram that I follow that just
I
talk to the audience and draw.
I'm trying to come up with a VTuber. I would feel more
Ah,
comfortable. I would feel more comfortable if I didn't have to worry about how do I look on camera and doing that. And I would just be like, oh, let me just do a VTuber and tracking. But that also comes with the mascot. So I'm like, if
yeah.
I can come up with a mascot, then when I do Twitch streaming, then I can just put my mascot on and be like, oh, it's JJ. I didn't wash my hair today.
You know what's funny? Now that you bring up VTubing, like my roommate, he's doing the mascot for Spoiler First. We were talking about like, what if we make Sora into a VTuber, but like I'm behind the character, and
Hey,
like, oh my god, like thinking of that, I laugh. I was like, oh my god, like because like I don't have nothing against VTubers. I when I first discovered VTubers, I thought it was really weird. But like now
mhm.
that I've seen like the trend, like how hot it is, and like even like Trash
Yes.
Taste podcast, like some of their guys are doing it. It's
Mhm.
insane, like how much traction you get by just being an anime character.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to worry about like little things. Like right now, this is the I've never really shown my face on any kind of social media when it comes down to any with my art. I just kind of kept it private, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to Twitch stream or vlog or anything like that. But it also comes down to just like editing stuff. Like when you tell me you do everything, I'm like, oh my God. I can't imagine all that editing, but
Yeah,
I
it's
think it would
very
be really
time consuming.
cool. And I mean, you can base off the male character that you guys are designing, maybe something more towards you, how you would want your own character. So then that's how you portray and like someone voices Sora for you and she just kind of like adds in a couple things here and there. You can edit her in to
Well,
stuff.
maybe I haven't really thought that far. I was just thinking like as a joke, like maybe we should just turn this into
Be like,
VTubing characters.
what is
You know,
it?
like it's a
You
female
like
character, and like
buff, like little,
yeah.
I don't know, her outfit just like burly.
No, I was just thinking like her
What's up,
her
bro?
face, and then like you hear my voice, like so we're talking about Twitch streaming today, but it's her face, you know, like it just I just don't know, I
I think
throw
that would be
everyone off.
fun. I think that would be fun. I think I've seen some guys have a girl VTuber and they would just talk in their normal voice and they just like their character because that's the character they designed. They preferred that one.
No,
I thought it'd be-
have you ever seen those guys that go on Omegle and dress up like Twitch girls? Like one was Finster, which is funny because
Yes.
the male character, like I'm naming it's called Finsu. There's Finster, and then there's Nat. And
Hmm.
Nat actually lives in Texas, I think, or at least that's
Really.
based off his Twitter.
Hmm.
But not to sound weird, I follow him on Twitter, and I think that's where his location's at. But
Uh,
don't do anything weird. Any listeners of yours, don't do anything weird. I'm just saying it's on his Twitter, so it's public. But um. No, but Nat and Finster, like they had that viral video where they're on Omegle and then they find each other, you know, and so like
she's like,
it's
they pause. I think I've seen
yeah.
it. They just
He's like,
pause. She's like, "You're a fucking ugly."
yeah, he's like, why are you so ugly? You know, like
Yes. they both they both break out of character.
oh yeah, I just think that's funny too because like it's a bunch of guys dressing up like
And
girls.
they're just having fun,
Yeah.
you know. I think
Yeah,
that's
oh yeah, nothing
hilarious.
wrong with that. I just find it hilarious because like they're able to make content out of that and then like just troll people on Omegle and like they look like girls and then like you see the reaction of the other person like because Nat can change his voice, but Finster
Yes.
looks like a girl. So like when Finster starts talking and then that's when like the guys on the other end of the camera are like, oh my god, like what the hell?
They just
You know?
like turn it off, like,
Yeah.
no. You freak them out. Yes, I've watched some of those. It's so funny. It's so funny. But I definitely would like to stream more. I used to stream some of my art process, but it was on this old program called Livestream before Twitch. So, or maybe even Twitch was playing then, but I definitely want to get it set up. I think I get kind of overwhelmed with like how everyone else's stuff is set up. And I'm like, oh, well, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do it how they're doing it. So I kind of get lost in the stages of
Like the
making the
aesthetic and
account instead of just
yeah.
doing it. Yeah. So I kind of get a little sidetracked because I would like, it needs to be a certain way. I need to make my own brand version or something like that. It kind of just, oh, okay, I'll do it later because I want to do that first before I start advertising. It's kind of like when I didn't have my shop link, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to start making TikToks until I have a shop, because then if I start getting traction, I don't have a shop link and
Yeah.
I'm going to miss all of those views. So my brain, I'm going far beyond the car. The horse is way in the back and my cart is way too forward.
Oh, I get that completely. Like the same thing with my podcast, man. It's like, I've been doing this I've been podcasting for over 6 years and on my own for roughly 3.
Wow.
And just now I'm finally like deciding to start like a Patreon link, or like, just like grow, like do things differently in this with my brand. Like like
Mhm.
when I first started this podcast, I did everything audio. I didn't do any of this.
Wow.
I literally recorded on my phone.
Mhm.
I would man, this just takes me back. Like I remember like when one of my first guest was my cousin, but like my first guest that I had that was like out of state. I
Mhm.
Skype called him and had like a clip-on mic on the speaker of the laptop to pick up
Wow.
his recording so that I could record both of us talking. Like it's insane when
It's
I think about
it's
like,
been a long time
oh
coming.
yeah, like it's to see where I'm at like right now, like how I'm recording with you or like with other guests or even with like the setup. I never thought that I'd get this far, and
Mhm.
for you, JJ, I think like it just takes time.
Yes.
Like handle what's important first. You don't need to catch up with anyone. I think that goes for just all content creators, because like
Mhm.
I see people who like go on breaks, or like who see like who get like intimidated by other people's setup and stuff like that. Like,
Yes.
how do you do this? You have all this stuff. Like, no, it's like buying tools for your house.
Mhm.
It takes time. It's
Yeah.
yeah, you just keep going, slowly pick up things here and there. Just be smart with what you're buying. Don't buy so much stuff that you don't need.
$20, $100. Which one?
Yeah, like I had to like really. That's why I had to like really chill out on the artist alley stuff and even the figurines and comic books. I had to like really chill out on that stuff because before doing the podcast, that's what I was doing. I would buy a lot of comic books.
Me.
Yeah, I would buy like manga. I'd buy Funko Pops. All that money I was spending was going to just like fun stuff. And then
Mhm.
doing this podcast, I was like, man, how come I'm always like shortchanged? I look in my room
Yeah.
like, this is why I need to cut some of the
Yes.
stuff out of my life. And so
Yes.
yeah. So now like like I said, a lot of my stuff's still back at home in Michigan. So like
Mhm.
when I think about like, man, like why did I buy all this stuff? Because like eventually when I move out on my own, I'm gonna have
Uh-huh.
like 2 rooms filled with like merchandise and figures and comic books and like all that
Hey,
stuff.
I mean, some stuff, what is it? I know I buy majority like anything. I love a lot of stuff, but the main thing that I love to buy is just like Inuyasha stuff. I would definitely probably regret if I got rid of anything. I do probably have the same mindset as you. So that's like, okay, I should probably slow down a little bit. Like, limited edition video games. Like, I don't have a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
time playing video games, or it's like, if I do play video games, maybe I should start playing them on Twitch more. So maybe it's like I have revenue, or stream on YouTube. So if I do play something, that it just kind of like starts integrating into everything. It's like, okay, how can I turn this into beneficial? Okay, if I buy something, I should do like a haul video, an unboxing.
I know that's what I was like thinking too, because like with all the stuff that I bought, but you bring up like limited edition stuff, like that's how I felt of like the first couple of weeks. Like I was having really bad FOMO when new Funko Pops would drop or like new
Oh
figures
my
would drop,
gosh.
and like when you can't buy it and then you see everyone else buying it, and then when it
You're
gets
like,
like flipped for like triple the price.
Oh my
Like, I
god.
wish I got
The
that before.
scalpers.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. That's kind of the only frustrating thing over the last 2 years is you used to be able to like go online and buy something that's like recently released, nothing too bad, but now it's like, oh, everybody knows you like Shishomaru. Everybody, all the girls like Shishomaru. We're gonna take Shishomaru and resell him.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a little bit annoying in the sense of the resellers because we only had to worry about them with Pokemon cards, but now it's like
Yeah. It's everything.
everything,
The market for
everything
everything.
now. So it's
E
kind of a little bit
Yeah.
annoying.
No, even at conventions, like I get really picky. Like I
Mhm.
remember one specific incident where the My Hero Pops were just dropping, and
Oh,
I believe
really?
this was the second wave. There was the Skinny All Might that dropped that weekend. I went to this convention. I don't know if they're still around though. It was Michigan Comic Convention in
Oh my gosh.
2019. So
Uh-huh.
I went to one table and I saw the All Might. Like, and there's nothing special. It's just a Skinny All Might. It was part of
Uh-huh.
the second wave that came out. There wasn't no like no limited edition or no special look. It was just a Skinny All Might. And
Mhm.
I know the standard price. It's $8 to $11 depending on where you buy it from.
Yeah.
And the kid that was literally a kid, he was like 13 or 14. His
Mhm.
dad owned that vendor's table, but his dad was busy. So I went up to the kid and I was like, "Hey, how much for this All Might pop?" He was like, "Oh, that's $20." I'm like, 20, like F that.
$20.
Like that. I was like, I literally looked at this kid. I was like, I know damn well this is not $20 because I can go on
You're not
eBay
gonna
right now.
scalp me.
Yeah, I was like, I can go on eBay right now and find this for $12.99. Walked off
Mhm.
from that, went to the table right behind them. They had
Uh-huh.
one too. The guy, I don't know if he heard me, but he was like, "Yeah, this is $9." I'm like, "Thank you, like reasonable price."
Yes. Oh
So I
my
bought,
gosh.
yeah, and I bought it, and I
It's
looked at the kid. I'm like, "This is how you sell things." Like,
you're just like, "I got this.
yeah, like
$9."
yeah, like I'm not trying to rip off these vendors, but like you got to know, like as someone who buys the merch, you also got to like know the prices. I hate seeing
Yes.
when people buy merch and get
Oh
ripped
my
off
gosh.
completely.
I feel so bad for them, especially like what was it? I think it's really funny that you say that. I went to an antique store. An antique store, like, they have their own little vendor areas. People buy it or pay a monthly rent and they just bring in little trinkets and you're just they make a profit because they just flip stuff or anything. I saw Pokemon cards in the antique stores and they're like boxes, the sealed boxes, and I'm like, this is like $20 and they're selling it for 80.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god.
it's gonna stay here and collect dust in this antique store. But I mean, I saw some vintage stuff that I was like, oh my God, here's stuff with Suicune on it. That's the second generation. So I definitely saw some antique stuff, but when I'm seeing like new Pokemon boxes, like people are trying to get their hands on in there, and I'm like, it's kind of gotten a little out of
Oh yeah.
hand.
Yeah, I get it when it's like retro stuff. Like if it's like Pokemon Silver or Gold for the Game Boy or like
Hmm.
something like that, I get it.
Yeah,
I get why the price is up. Even it's vintage. But if
yeah.
you're talking about like the latest Pokemon booster pack that came out
Oh my
recently,
gosh,
like
yes.
I get that you're it's the hustle. It's part of the game that that you flip it. If you make money, that's good for you. But come on, like,
Hmm.
it is not worth that at that
No.
moment. Like it is eventually like it just like you're just playing on the idea that people want these cards and you're just taking
Yes.
advantage of it. So
Yes,
like
and just
that's where I get like really upset
it,
because
it that's definitely that's where I get upset too. It's just kind of like it's changed, and a lot of companies have also figured out like, oh,
yeah.
this generation, they're the people with the money, so they're starting to like make more Hollywood movies that are catered to us or more
Mhm.
products. I mean, I kind of had a chuckle. I had to talk to some friends. I'm like, did you know Playboy came out with anime girl t-shirts?
Oh, Lady Gaga just dropped
Really?
a Crunchyroll crossover. Yeah, she had like I know because Meg the Stallion did it, and Lady Gaga. Like
Really?
I think it was today. It was either today or late last night. Crunchyroll just announced that Lady Gaga has like a crossover shirt in like sweatshirts or pants, like with
Wa-
the design on it, and they're selling it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yes. And that's
I'm
just
sorry.
like
I'm sorry. I cut you off. Like
no,
that made
no,
me think
no,
of
no.
that. Like
That's what I'm talking about. Like anime has become so mainstream. Like it's everywhere. Do I think maybe some of the younger kids, maybe when they get older, it may become like, oh, I liked this stuff when I was younger. They kind of grow out of it. Maybe because I kind of went through that phase of like, oh, I'm becoming an adult. Maybe it's time for me to stop drawing and liking this stuff and kind of grow up. And I did have that weird phase of like, oh, I can be an adult and still like and do the things that I like. So it's kind of weird of like, we're still going to be around. Maybe not all of you will, because it wasn't like just a phase. Like it wasn't a trend for us. We grew up with all of this stuff.
what
So
the thing is, I think the difference between like us growing up, I'm gonna sound like an old head, but like with us growing up with anime compared to
back in
these,
my day,
yeah, compared to like these new kids growing up with anime, we grew up with anime and struggled liking anime.
yes,
Like
yes.
I remember I talked about this on the podcast too. Like I remember seeing a kid get bullied because he liked anime.
Oh my
And
gosh.
because I saw that, I refused to let anyone know that I liked anime. And then I
Oh my
remember like
gosh.
in a computer class in high school, I was watching Bleach on a
Hmm.
on a torrent site, and the kid behind me was like, "Oh my god, is that Bleach?" And I closed the link. I was like, "Nope, that's not what you think it is." So like I was such a closet nerd for a long time. Like I
No,
even like being in first grade, I remember like being so ashamed of my Batman lunchbox. Like I would turn it
no.
upside down so that the cover wasn't showing.
Oh
So
my
like
gosh.
I used to be so not ashamed, but I used to be like so afraid of
Be-
letting people know like
because
I like
kids
this stuff.
kids would point at it and be like, "Oh my god, you like that?"
Yeah.
I knew a lot of kids that it was with Pokemon cards. I don't know what it was. Everyone was like, "Oh, my mom burned my Pokemon cards," or
Yep.
"My parents threw them away or gave them away." And it was always Pokemon cards. I'm like,
Could
what
you
was with
imagine
the
that though? Like
Pokemon?
like your parents burning like a Charizard or something
Oh,
like that. Like, oh
oh my
my
god.
god, he's so
No,
pissed.
no,
Oh my
that's
god.
because I feel bad because one of the kids that I did Kondo that I did martial arts with, I remember anime got brought up. Like again, even though we were doing martial arts, I didn't want to be like, I'm a super nerd. I'm here doing martial arts and I like anime. So I just kind of like kept to myself. My sister and I did, and we would talk to some of the guys and some of the girls. But then when we started talking, like, oh yeah, do you like anime? You draw? Oh well, I had Pokemon cards. My mom threw them away, and I'll just be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Of course, I was homeschooled, so I didn't get bullied. I probably would have, but I was homeschooled for sure.
I grew up in a very Christian oriented home. So like I
Oh,
remember my grandpa is a pastor and somehow he still is doing that today. And even though I think he should retire, he's still like I remember growing up, like there was one point in our lives where he was living with my folks and I was like in grade school still, and he would always get mad if I was playing with like um Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
hmm,
I remember one of my aunts was like, you shouldn't mess with Pokemon. You know what it's really called? Like, because the Pokemon is short for pocket monster.
religious.
Yeah, so
Yes.
like you're carrying monsters with you. They're trying to like kind of like Bobby Boucher. Like, everything's the devil. Like, it's kind of like it's like that. And growing up like that, I'm just like really like I'm not like you know shooting up schools, or I'm not like being bad if I like anime. It's weird. So as an adult now, like
Hmm.
when we see these kids grow up with anime now, and they don't face the repercussions like how we did. So like as an old
Hmm.
head of anime, it's like, no, you guys don't know what it's like to get picked on for anime and then now see it be cool, and then now you
I
guys are too cool for us.
I
Like
know.
that doesn't count. Like it doesn't count.
My friend and I were just talking about this. We like went into Kinokuniya and we're like, do you ever just feel like a little bit of anger when you come in here? Like this, like it used to be like we could walk in here and go in and just like
This was our
browse.
space, and now there's
Yeah,
like
we would go
everyone's here. What the
browse
fuck?
and buy what we wanted to, and now it's like crowded. every single day.
I was like that with my comic book store at Liberty Comics. Like I was, fairly new there, but like that was a place where I could go in and nerd out. And then like once these MCU movies started kicking in, and like all these random people just started like, oh, do you have any like Doctor Strange that is like recent? There's tons of Doctor Strange books you can buy in the back that are paperback, and you don't need to get the new ones. It's it's like this, like I said, this new wave of nerds and kids who love anime and comic books. Like they didn't get picked on. They don't know the struggle of what it's like to see that the things we love got shitted on, and we got shitted on because of that. And now that it's
Yes.
cool, I'm gonna get really. I'm gonna start swearing. So like a lot of the fucking bullies that bullied us like the shit that we like now, and I'm like no, no, I'm not trying to gatekeep this, but like no,
No,
you cannot do
there's
that.
a little animosity for
No,
a
like
lot of it.
for me, it's just like no. I got bullied for liking this stuff. No, I'm not letting you like this stuff either, because no, that's not fair. I get so upset as a nerd. I just get upset because like why like it's just like so much pent up anger. It's just like
well,
no.
I think it's also with I think it also has to do with our generation that we didn't have a lot of access back in the day, or like things were imported. Or I remember if we wanted to listen to Japanese music, you had to go on Amazon or someplace and order CDs in order to listen to a bunch of anime music or any kind of anime opening or anything like that. And I think it's just we've also had that with us growing up. I mean, I remember, me drawing. Once I started getting into it, there's Wacom tablets.
Yep.
I had to draw with pen and paper, but now it's like kids are having iPads and they're like 15 years old and they're already Picasso. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to try and compare myself. I'm not going to compare myself. This is the age of technology. I'm not going to cry.
No, that's exactly what it is too, though. These kids are growing at a crazy fast rate because they're growing up with all this amazing technology, while we grew up with dial-up internet.
Oh, I know. Get off the computer so I can make a phone call.
And destroying our computers with LimeWire, downloading like music. It's oh my god. I see. Like this is why I go into this rant and feel so old, because like I said, these little ass kids don't know what it's like to watch anime and to struggle to like this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's definitely, again, it's like it's bittersweet. It's so good that it's mainstream. I love that people are exposed to anime and comic books, but no, like it's just like but you don't really know what it was like to watch anime on burned CDs or like torrent things,
I forgot about those.
How to torrent Naruto before it was released, like, oh man, those were the days though. It was insane. And like, see, now I'm letting like my viewers and fans know how old I really am. So like,
aging ourselves.
Yeah.
In this conversation back in my day.
Yeah, no, I worked at a movie theater like late last year, and the kid that was working there, like we had a shift together. He's 18. He just got out of high school, and we were talking about anime, and he's like, man, you know a lot about anime. How old are you? I'm like, I tell him my age, and he's like, no, you're not that. I was like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I am. And he's like, no way. You look like you're just in college. Like, I wish I was in college. Like, no, I'm like, yeah.
That's the good thing about being millennials. We don't look that old.
Oh yeah. Isn't that weird though? Like we or at least for me, I feel I don't look that young, but based on how I what I'm into and how I speak to like these younger folks, they don't think of me like as an older adult. To them, I look like I'm in my mid-20s still, and that's saying a lot already. But so like, but yeah, no, but like it's like, okay, I can say this. I'm in my late 20s, so
okay,
to say that I'm in like oh man, you look like you're 21, 22 still, like I'm just like, really? Like, I don't feel like that. My knees hurt, my back hurts,
Oh no.
So it's just like, okay, I guess I'll take that compliment. But like the kid at the movie theater was like, yeah, man, like how do you know all this? I'm like, yeah, because I'm, way older than
I'm
you.
older.
Yeah.
Half your age.
I just saw your message. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that your phone was gonna die.
Sorry, I was like, just keep it going. Keep strong. Keep going.
I'm so sorry, JJ.
It's okay. No worries. I'm like, I can't interrupt it. This is great. He'll see it. He'll see it. And dies.
Well, we are back from this second mini break here. Again, JJ, thank you for your time and being understanding of the situation here. I know we've had some hiccups this episode, but overall, I've had such a great time talking to you for almost 2 hours now.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. The time is going by so fast. I mean, I can keep talking for hours, but I don't know if you would last that long. I just talk your ears off.
No, I love it. I love when my guests have so much to say and so much like stories to tell or experience to share with the viewers or listeners. Because doing the podcast stuff for so long, well, not so long, but for the past 3 years, almost 3 years now, I get sick of hearing myself talk at times. So like I like when my guests help me carry the conversation. Like I've had some guests where like, it's tough to kind of break their shell. Like they're kind of waiting for the questions, like
they're like they answer it and you're like, wow, okay.
Keep going, like don't stop, but so it's great. I really appreciate when guests help like bring more content and at the end of the day, JJ, it's all about you on this, the episode. It's all about you. It's great for it's great for like for new viewers and new listeners, whether this gets 100 likes or 1,000 likes or not, no likes. The content is what matters, and this episode's all about you. I sometimes I feel like I talk way too much and I go on different tangents.
I love it. Like again, I watched some of your stuff and I'm like, watching just a little bit because I've never been on a podcast before, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to just answer all the questions or anything. I don't want to just be it all about me. I love like communication and talking about the other person and just having a thing instead of, because I don't want to say hate. I just don't like when all the attention's on me. Like for me, I'm just more of like, oh my God, I get to have this opportunity and Ricky's letting me on his podcast. So I get to experience that. For me, even though maybe to some people they don't see that as a big thing, for me, like anything like this is a new experience. I'm very blessed and excited. And again, thank you for having me on here. I'm so excited to talk more and more about anime and how I got into it, because I remember, I think yesterday, I was looking at one of my old YouTube videos of my speed paints, and I'm like, who is this person from like 2013, 2014? I'm like, I was cool.
Oh man, like when I go back and listen to myself on like my first couple of episodes, I cringe so hard.
Gosh.
Because like not just the sound quality, but like how I talk or like how I'm trying to emulate like other artists, like I'm trying to be like Joe Rogan, when really I shouldn't even try to be Joe Rogan, like you know what I'm talking about? Like it's just because from my buddy Andrew, who's been like one of the biggest supporters and frequent guests on this podcast, like he loves Kevin Smith. And Kevin Smith says something. I'm paraphrasing, but he says like that it takes like almost 100 episodes to find your voice. And when you're doing podcasting. So like after almost 3 years of doing this, I'm finally like feeling,
you're finding it, you're getting comfortable.
So it's great when I have, like I said, it's great when I have guests that like can pick up on what I'm doing and like just bam respond or bring up questions or bring topics. Like I tell every one of my guests, whether it's through Instagram message, emails, I tell them like, look, don't be scared and don't hesitate to ask questions or bring up topics, because you're helping me, like that way I'm not, I hate, I don't mind carrying the show, but when it's like, after I get through like my questions, I'm like, I'm only like 5 minutes in and I've asked all my questions, like, so like, help me, man, like help me. So
I need content.
Yeah, like, help me carry the show.
Yeah, what was it? I think I was overthinking. I was like messaging you and I'm like, what do I need to do? How do I need to do anything? Start it? You're like, no. And I'm like, my anxiety is like freaking out. Like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to
Like, yeah,
do.
that sounds too
I mean,
easy.
I'm
Like,
watching some of his podcasts to get an idea, but I'm like, I have no idea. So I'm just like, the unknown is starting to freak me out. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. Just, you already talk a lot. So this will be good for you. I
well, the
remember
thing too. Oh yeah, go on.
I remember my dad telling stories when I was growing up. I vaguely remember it. Growing up, he said I was a very silent child. Like my two older siblings would do a bunch of stuff for me, tie my shoes. If I wanted to eat or drink something, they would answer for me. I vaguely remember them tying my shoes for me. I don't remember anything else. But if I wanted to eat something, they would look at me and I would like, and then they would say, no, she doesn't want that. And then they'd be like, oh, did she want spaghetti? And they'd look at me and then, no, she doesn't want that. And then they would talk. And then as my dad says it, it's more funny when he says it. So maybe one day you can be like a dual podcast where my dad's present to say all the embarrassing things about me as a child. He'll be like, once you started talking, we could never get her to shut up. I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. But he
One of
means
my
it with
nieces,
love.
yeah, one of my
He means
nieces
it
like
with
that
love.
too.
He's
Like
like, we could.
it's my, not to cut you off, but like my sister was kind of like that too. Like my sister, one of my nieces is kind of like that.
Mhm.
Even one of my dogs was like that. Like we wanted them to talk so much, or like my sister, because she was very quiet.
Mhm.
Like not too quiet, but she was very shy, very like self-aware. So like
Mhm.
it was so hard. I remember like my parents, especially my mom, would like be nervous because when she would go to school, she doesn't talk. She's so shy, she's so self-aware, and like not saying that she doesn't be quiet, but like not that she's grown out of it. It's just like you don't recognize that no more. Yeah, so
Yes.
that just like it's just something
It
that's very
just.
unique with like people who grow up very quiet and then like have so
I,
much to say.
well, that's what I think too. Like, I don't know why I was quiet. I mean, I think it was just, oh, I don't know what to say. Again, I was the third child. They did a lot of stuff for me. We were a year apart. So it's like my older brother was 2 years older. My older sister was a year older than me. And then, so it's just kind of like they did a lot of stuff for me. So I'm just like, oh, I don't need to talk. So, but again, I don't see it as much as a bad thing because I don't know if you know, like, oh, talking about yourself in one way or talking yourself in another way, it kind of like there's like a study done or something, like if you talk down to yourself, it's like, oh, I need to be quiet or I need to shut up more. It kind of like you're talking negative about yourself, so it kind of like brings down mentally. You don't know that it's like little slight damage stuff
Yeah.
to your head, but um I do get annoying sometimes. So
No,
now
I
I'm rambling.
no, it's funny you bring that up too. Is like I wasn't like that growing up. Being the oldest, because it's only me and my sister. So like
Mhm,
from what my parents tell me is like I was actually a very happy-go-lucky type of kid. I was very like
mhm,
outgoing. I wasn't shy. I was I was always very like I approached a lot of things. But then I
mhm.
think once I started to go into like middle school and in high school, like I said, dealing with bullies or seeing people get bullied, and then
Yeah.
like growing up very insecure at like especially in high school. Like I didn't realize how insecure I was. When I look back at myself now, I was like, God damn, like that was me. Like, like holy shit. Like there wasn't like, I had to find out, or like when I think about it now as an adult, like I look back and I'm just like, man, I didn't realize like how much I was holding up like with my emotions. Like I eventually I got to a point where like I guess you could say I was somewhat depressed. Like not
Oh,
to get too dark here, but like it
no,
just like
no, no.
like it's just I'm much more reserved now, unless like I'm comfortable talking with people, or
Mhm,
unless I'm doing this. It's a
mhm.
very very weird mechanic. Like when I'm at work, I don't talk. I'm like
Oh,
quiet. I keep to
yes.
myself because one, I don't
Yes.
want to be at work, but two, I there's nothing to talk about, so I don't. I'm not like, oh hey, good morning. Like it's just it's work. Um,
Well, it's
but
like, do you have the mentality of like, if someone's talking to me, maybe I'm not doing a good job. It's like, if you don't talk to me, that means I'm doing a good job and I'm
uh,
just gonna keep doing my business.
Not really. It just I guess I hate waking up in the morning. So like I'm not awake. I'm not awake.
Everybody, everywhere.
Yeah, by lunch, like when it's lunchtime, that's when I'm awake. But like, not just here, but even when back in Michigan, like I unless I knew people, then I would
Mhm.
somewhat talk. I remember like working at McDonald's, and I had one or two friends that worked there, but I usually kept to myself. I was pretty quiet. Like, I just wanted to make sure like my goal was to get through my shift so I can go home, like go
Yes.
in, make your money and go home. Like, and that mentality kind of sticks with me now. But like when I'm doing podcasting or when I'm like with my cousins or with friends, I'm pretty outgoing. I'm not too reserved. It's only
Mhm.
when I'm in a new environment where I kind of like put up walls and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know you, so I'm not gonna say much until
What?
until I get comfortable.
Yeah. No, no, no. I think what was it? I think my aunt, we did like the test where it's like extrovert, introvert, and I did the test and I was in between. Like what you're saying is since we talked and like you and I saw each other, met each other already, and your acquaintances with Philip, so it's just kind of like me naturally I'm more talkative, but I know for sure if I was meeting someone or I didn't know someone, I would stay more reserved, wouldn't talk as much, or just keep to myself. So I definitely understand when it comes to like that aspect. So it I don't know if it's also just kind of like a personality thing of like whenever growing up and whenever you like us being bullied, whenever it came down to us being our bubbly selves or talkative or talking about things that we enjoy, people would like shut you down. So it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
I
I
I know
think
how
I'm going
that
to get a
feels.
feel for this person before I
Yeah.
start opening up. So I think maybe it's kind of like, unfortunately, don't mean to be dark. It's like a trauma response. So we just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
grew up like
For sure.
that.
I know I'm like that. It's definitely due to trauma. Like,
Yes.
not just that. Like, it sounds like I'm like happy about it, but no, it's
Yeah.
something to laugh about, because like that I'm still processing all that. Like, even like when there are times where like I do, drink too much and I end up talking more than I should. And and
Mhm.
then when you look when for me when I
You're
think
like,
back,
no, I
yeah,
told too much.
it's like shame and
Instant
embarrassment. It's
regret.
like, yeah, it's like, oh man, I should have just shut up that night. Like, I've had nights like that where and I look back and like I don't spill secrets, but like I'll talk more than I normally should. Like, I'll say
Mm.
things that I normally
Oh,
do not say. You
no,
know?
I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you after the podcast one of the animators on YouTube. They did one just like that, and it was a short animation. And there's like this girl. She's like, "Hey, hey," and then it's like the guy. He's like looking around. He's like, "Is she talking to me?" And he's just like, "Hey," and then it's a girl behind him that the girl is trying to wave to, and then
Oh
he's
my
like internally dying. He's like, everyone saw that. You're such a loser. And then it's like goes to his heart and it's like beating really fast of his anxiety and then just like bursts and he just dies
I feel so
of
attacked right now.
embarrassment.
I feel so attacked right now. I've been through that.
I saw it and I'm like, this is me. How did they embody my exact reaction?
No, you've seen like the first Spider-Man, right? Where MJ waves and like Peter
Yes.
Parker like waves too, and like just the girl behind him, like, yo, I was like, oh my god, like I've
Yes.
been there. Oh my god.
Yes, yes, it's exactly that, and I just saw it, so I'm pretty sure once we finish the podcast, I'll definitely send you the link, and you'll just laugh. All of his stuff is
Secondhand
super
cringe.
funny. Yes, you'll be like, "This is too much. This is too much like me," and I think about that constantly. Sometimes even when I'm like going to bed, I'll remember something that I did like
Oh
when I was
my
like 10, and I'm like,
It's like
"Oh
sitting there
my
like,
god."
oh, you're like, oh my god.
Oh, what was it? Oh, I remember. So you may not ever find this, but I'd entered a cosplay contest. It was the first cosplay I ever made, and it was Kaito from Vocaloid, Kaito Shion. And I entered the cosplay runway and I had to come up with poses. And me being like a 15 awkward teenager cross playing a guy, I'm like, what do I pose? He doesn't have a pose. And so I came up with two poses, but right at the end, something came across my mind to like blow a kiss. And I internally died after I got off the stage. And I'm like, and I saw the video and it's still on YouTube. And I'm like, I just die of cringe thinking that I did that. I'm like, why did you blow a kiss? Why? I don't know what became of me to do that, but that's just one of the many things that will just pop in my head.
You know, as I think of like this, you like you said, when you bring up like it's just like suppressed trauma. I think like a lot of these secondhand embarrassments or secondhand cringe that we feel as adults, it's because like I think we're so as adults or as kids, we were either critiqued about it or like, you know, people like, why'd you do that? You
Yes.
know, like that's so embarrassing. Why'd you do that? You know, or shut up, you know. I think like that kind of like it's kind of like an echo in your head where you when you know you shouldn't do it, but you want
Mhm.
to do it, and then you regret doing it because you know you're being like yelled at or like watched. You know, I don't know.
Yes.
I think
No.
especially for me, like coming from like an Asian household, like you know,
Mhm.
like,
Your
like the,
tiger parents.
well, not exactly, but my mom would always tell me like, "Why are you overacting? Like, why are you trying so hard at times?" You know, yes, I was a bit annoying, but like when I look back at it now, it wasn't like bad or anything, but it's just like, you know,
Mhm.
growing up, like a lot of Asians are very timid and very like observant. We're not rowdy, you know.
Mhm.
So like, it's just when you're like that, it kind of like for me, it makes me think like, man, like why am I like this? So I kind of like shut myself down more, and then again
Yeah.
with bullying, and then with like being self-aware as a
Mhm.
teenager in high school, and then like just like and then at like post high school, like just a lot of shit happened to me. So like mentally, I started shutting myself down, and then like
Mhm.
all these walls are built. And then if it wasn't for podcasting, but thank God for podcasting, I had to like break down these walls again and be like, all right, you know, don't be scared. Just email these people or like just ask them. And like even now, you know, when I have when I email like a lot of my guests,
Mhm.
there was one excuse me, there was one guest I believe it was Annie Mia. She's like a well-known cosplayer. She works for Previews World, and like she wrote like articles for Otaku magazine and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, I she emailed her response back. I had my sister read that email to me because I was so nervous about what she had to say,
Oh.
and I think it just like, you know, it's like it stems from like childhood trauma or somewhere along those lines where like,
Mhm.
you know, even now, like I look at these responses and I'm just like, why? Like, oh man, I don't know what they're gonna say. You know, I can't look at it.
Oh,
I
yes.
find it so weird, and like even now, it still affects me to this day. And like
Y
people don't know that, like, you know, it may look like I'm doing this stuff that seems easy, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that no one knows about.
Yes, I get that, I do that a lot sometimes too, I think, like, stemming from growing up in our childhood. I don't know if you would resonate, like, my parents' thing, mainly my mom, because, she stayed at home with us most of the time. It was children are to be seen and not heard. So when we would ever go in public, like we couldn't be goofy or anything. So it was definitely keep to yourself. Why are you doing that? Stop. Don't do that. So it's like when we start making our own decisions, like, oh, our mom would have told us not to do that.
Yeah.
So we were always like kind of like codependent where our parents like prevented us from getting to those
You're
points or
looking for a
just
confirmation, like, where is she? I need to know if I can do this.
if this was okay, and then your brain is just do it, and now you're like, oh my god, I instantly regret that. I don't have someone over me to tell me not to do that. So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah, I
like
know. I get that a lot
we
too.
had that codependency of them doing it a lot for us. And so now it's like now we're on our own. I know what was it? when I was applying for booths. That's what I was scared of when I applied for my first booth. And I'm like, I don't know what to type. They're like, tell us what you're gonna sell. Or I was like, I have no idea what to put in this. And I'm
What the
like,
hell am I selling
okay.
again?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, let me just type a professional email, like, pretend I'm at work and just like, okay, thank you so much for reviewing this submission. I would be greatly appreciated if you choose me to vend at your like, just be really nice. But I didn't know what to put. And when I did it for my first convention, I'm like, oh my God, let me just see if I got accepted. And then when I got accepted, I'm like, oh my God, this euphoria came over me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I got accepted. I can't believe it. Like, that was so easy. But I like made it into this huge thing than what it really is. But I mean, since usually our parents would do a lot of stuff for us, when we started doing things for ourselves, it's just kind of like, we didn't
Oh
get
yeah.
that out. We didn't get that anxiety out as a child.
Yeah,
We
no,
just
that
grew up into it.
that's a great point, JJ. Like even like again, like not to make it about me, but like
No,
that's a
no.
fantastic point you bring up because I think that kind of explains why I act the way I do when I get like when people agree to be on the podcast. Like
Mhm.
especially like when like okay, like when Rico and shout out to Rico. Rico was an amazing guest on the podcast. I want to have him back on the podcast again. But Rico, when I met him in person at Nishi Fest and then messaging him on Instagram to have him on the podcast, like there was an overwhelming like feeling of anxiety. It's one
Please
thing
text me back.
like, that too, but like it's one thing to like ask him in person and then
Ask it over the social media, because again, we
yeah,
didn't grow up with it, and we're just like,
it
rejection.
it sounds it makes it, or at least for me it felt like I was overreaching at one point. Like am I annoying
Okay.
him or am I too pushy? Like
Mhm.
like I I'm not saying all guests are bad, but I've had encounters with guests where you hand them your card or you show interest in their work and like they're like
Oh my
they're like
God.
yeah, they're like, oh yeah, we'll work with you, and they never respond back.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, so like
that sucks.
oh yeah, no, so like that adds on to the anxiety that I have. So again, back to having Rico on the podcast,
Are
he
they
was
being genuine, or
yeah,
are
no,
they
he was
like just going along to
right,
save face?
but he was completely genuine. Him
Mhm.
and some of the other voice actors I've mentioned before, like he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's talk.
That's
Let's do it.
awesome.
So like when he was on the podcast, when I was recording with him,
Mhm.
I told him like, dude, I was so nervous like to
Uh-huh.
even ask you to talk to you. Like I get like super thankful, like over
Mhm.
the top thankful to my guests who like agreed to be on the podcast. Like, oh my god, thank you so much. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like it's
Mhm.
because like I don't want to say it's imposter syndrome, but it's a sense like like a bit of that because like for me
Mhm.
when like you mentioned doing this on our own and reaching out for like help or do like doing the stuff that our parents would kind of look over our shoulder and tell us what to do. So when you're
Mhm.
doing when you're making decisions on your own and you don't know what the backlash is, it's like you're just out in the
Yeah.
open. There's so much,
Ex
it's so vulnerable. So like when
Yes.
I'm doing this, I'm just like, oh my god, like I can't believe I'm actually doing this,
Yeah,
or like
you
making a
have
doctor's appointment. It's like
Yeah.
that.
I was just about to say, I don't know.
Yeah,
I literally, what was it? I've been pushing that off. I literally just went to the doctor last year and I needed to go since like
yeah.
7 years. And I'm like, I gotta just do it myself. It's just like, I keep telling, what was it? I think we talked about it at Nishi Fest. I'm like, Shia LaBeouf, just do it.
Yeah. Like I still get nervous making my doctor's appointments. Like I never I was like, Mom, can you like make my doctor's appointment? Ricky, you're an adult. You need to make your own
Yes.
appointments. I was like, well,
Yes.
what if I get lost? Like what if I can't find the location? Like you have your phone, you
Yes.
idiot.
Oh my gosh, I get that. I don't know what it was. I think setting up like monthly appointments or anything after that is fine, but I don't know what it is about just the doctor. Like getting my eyes checked or going to the dentist, it's like, oh, this is normal. Getting glasses every year, but then it's like going to the doctor. I think it's just like this dreading fear of like they're gonna tell us something bad. So our anxiety is just like
That's me.
it just like goes top tier with our anxiety
Yeah.
because we're just like they're gonna tell us something really bad.
Yeah,
So it's like, oh, they're cleaning my teeth. Oh, you have a cavity. That's nothing.
I know. I get like super dramatic and like think of the worst if I ever go to the doctor. Like, oh my god, like you only have like 5 days to live, type of deal. Like
Googling.
yeah,
I have a sore throat. You have. Oh my god, you have cancer.
Yeah, like
you're gonna lose your voice. Everything
I get so nervous. Like I don't know. I guess just like growing up, I went to the doctor a lot, but as an adult, I chose not to because I just I had like this denial or like, oh, I'm fine. Like I'm okay. I'm still breathing.
If you haven't gone to the doctor, you can't say you
Exactly.
won't know if you're sick.
Right.
You're sick. It's what is it? I think like I love watching Markiplier, and he makes this comment of like big brain, saying I have a big brain moment of like you can't be sick if you don't go to the doctor.
Right. Oh man.
Yes, that's very much my mentality as well. It's like whenever I go to the dentist, they're like, "Did you have any new medication or any new conditions?" Like, nope, I haven't been to the doctor, so I don't even know.
When you're writing down like your symptoms, like, have you felt this? Nope. Don't feel this.
Do you have high blood pressure?
Right. Nope. I don't feel that.
I don't know. I may have it, but I haven't been. I'm in perfect health.
Exactly. No, I'm like
I'm a pinnacle of health.
Yeah. Oh, I'm fine. I don't feel nothing at all. Like, but deep down, I think something might be wrong.
Yes.
No, it's funny because like even now, like I honestly should get checked up just like for my yearly, but I've been like. I'm like so long overdue for a physical checkup. Like I'm at the point where I'm like, if I don't go now, I never will.
Well, I mean, the same thing with what happened like 2 years ago. I mean, with COVID, I even pushed it back even more. I was like, I need to start going, making sure my health is in check, all that, getting everything taken care of. But then it's like when COVID happened, it's like, well, now I don't want to go because it's infected, like not infected. I don't want to go there. I'm trying to stay safe. I'm trying to stay healthy, if you can say I'm staying healthy, but it did the same thing with like glasses.
I need to get glasses for sure. Like it's already bad enough that like I have astigmatism. So like the lights don't go in my eyes well. Everything's blurry at night. So like, oh man, I really need to get glasses. But if you have any other last topics you'd like to talk about, you are more than welcome to bring it up.
Well, I do have a story to tell with my company name. So with my company name, it was really funny coming up with Oniyuri is actually tiger lily in Japanese. And so my soccer team was actually called Tiger Lily, and I just really liked it, but I'm like, Tiger Lily doesn't just Tiger Lily doesn't really sound cool. Let me just do Oniyuri. And I really liked it. And my friend jokes about it though, like just steering off of topic really quick. She makes a joke. She's like, every time I hear your company name, I think you're saying only Yuri. And I'm like, I can venture off into that one day. Hey, this is Oniyuri Graphics After Dark.
So I think with only fans.
Yeah, exactly. Only Yuri. So hey, that's another thing I can do later on. But it was really funny that with my company name, I bought the domain in 2014. I bought the domain,
nice.
but I bought the domain in 2014. I've had it since then, but in 2016, I was having a lot of, that was when I was going through a lot of personal stuff. I missed the payment on the domain and I lost it. It was really weird. I got an email of someone saying, hey, are you this person? And do you want this domain back? And I'm like, yes. tell me. And then like all of a sudden they didn't respond, or it was really weird. And then when I went to go look up the domain, it was like $2,000. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it really sucked. I was like,
So you
well,
paid that?
no, I didn't. I did
Oh.
not. So here's the funny thing. So I didn't pay that. So it's again, that was from I got it in 2014. I lost it in 2016. So around 2019, the end of 2019, I marked when the domain was going to go back up, if they had to either renew it or they had to buy it again. And so the .com Oniyuri Graphics. So I bought oniyuri-graphics.com, but I hated it. I'm like, no, I want it all together. So I just kept pushing it off. And then 2019 came around, and then they didn't renew it. And then I got it for $14 in late 2019. So I was really stoked about that. And I was like, yes, I got it back. And I kind of like finally started rolling everything down from there. I was like, okay, sign up for every social media possible under my name, go get it, make the website or anything like that. But it took a long time because I felt really bad because I really liked Oniyuri and I just didn't want to lose it. And then I don't know who this person was. I don't know if they were like someone that's been watching or who was like a scalper for domain names. But it was really weird that they contacted me and then all of a sudden it went out like for $2,000. But that's one of just
that is
one small
weird.
thing.
They
Yeah,
probably were paying attention to you and like saw something like that.
I
Honestly,
guess.
I that's one of my fears too.
Well,
Is
how did you come up with Spoiler Force?
Spoiler Force. So originally I was only going to do reviews. Like I
Okay.
wanted to do anime reviews, comic book, manga reviews, like movie
Mhm.
reviews, stuff that I somewhat still do now. But
Okay.
because I like I said earlier in this episode, like I wanted to be a writer. So like I took a theater class in college, which counted as
Mhm.
a history and as a elective course. So
Okay.
I was really into like reviewing movies and trying to be like really profound and trying to be like, oh, this movie is so great. Like it talks about this and talks about that. So I would do
Mhm.
that on Facebook. And so I would
Mhm.
after high school, I took like half a year off
Mhm.
before going to like community college. And so I spent my summers going to the movie theater every week. I went to the movie theater, watched 2-3 movies a day,
Mhm.
every week nonstop. And so I was like writing reviews down. I was like, oh man, this movie is so good. This movie's like talking about this, but the symbolisms like this. There's so much things going on at this movie. Like I would try to be like one of them Yelp reviewers before Yelp reviewers got big. And
Mhm.
my friend Chin, he's a local Michigan uh film director and actor. They have their crew is called uh Clean Slate Productions, and oh
Wow.
my god, he will hate me if I forgot that.
He's like,
Yeah,
so
like
much for
we are
you.
friends, damn it, you don't know this. Yeah,
The friendship is over.
so he saw my buddy Chin saw a lot of my reviews, and but what I didn't do was I didn't hold back on my reviews. I would say everything, and I would spoil like manga panels and spoil manga chapters,
How
and so
dare you?
yeah, I was one of those people, and so he was like, "Why are you spoiling everything on the internet?" Attack on, because I would be like, "Oh man, Attack on Titan chapter 55. Like, look at Reiner and Eren fight," and I post up the panel, like stuff like that, just to be
You're
ignorant.
like ruining everything sacred to him.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Well, I was like, well, that's because you're not reading the manga." And I've created a lot of like not enemies, but I've turned some friends into villains. I got my good friend T. I remember when Obito got revealed in Naruto.
Oh my
That was one of the
gosh.
first like internet moments that ruined Naruto for me because I was looking forward to that chapter just to see someone spoil it. And so what
Oh
I
my
did was
gosh. You got
I
there first.
I ruined. Yeah, I pretty much got to the next chapter and ruined what happened next. It just so happened my buddy T saw it and he was like, "I hate you,
Oh
Ricky. I hate you for
no.
ruining this for me. You ruined Naruto for me." And now, for the past several
Oh.
years, he's been watching movies before, like on early releases, and ruining it for people. And so, like,
His
I
villain
realized,
arc.
yeah. So, like, I realized I created a villain. Like what I did years ago created this villain. But he's chilled down now. He's chilled out about it now because like a lot
Okay.
of our close friends like, why are you going to detail? Because like I only ruined it with panels. He went into full detail with text saying
Vengeance.
like this happened and this happened and this happened. Like, dude, like I spoiled things for you, but I wasn't even that bad. And so like he's chilled out now. We just laugh about it. It's just so funny because like when I think back about it, like I made this villain.
Oh
But
my
to
god.
back to spoiler first. Spoiler because I was doing that constantly on the internet. So I
Ah,
was I would
okay.
post up panels and all that. And the whole force part, I love the Flash. He's one of my favorite superheroes of all time, specifically Barry Allen. You
Okay.
know, his powers is called the Speed Force, and in
Okay.
DC Comics, I don't know, I don't I don't know if they're still going on with it, but in one arc of the Flash, there was multiple forces. You know, there's the Speed Force, the Strength Force, some other forces at play with the Speed Force, and I always loved his powers because the Flash, he can move through time, he can phase, create
Yes.
lightning, he can heal, run back through
Mhm.
time. So I was like, you know, if I could be any hero, that would be my power. I would love to have the Speed Force, and then kind of like put two and two together. Well, I spoil everything because my buddy Chin keeps telling me I spoil things. I love the Speed Force. Put two and two together, spoiler Force, and then I just, you know, the podcast part, it threw it in there.
Of
Really,
course.
it's supposed to be just spoiler Force, but podcast, whatever. Every
Yeah.
podcast has podcast in it.
Oniyuri Graphics.
Yeah, you know,
It just adds.
so
That's cool.
that's how spoiler first came to be. And then yeah, I thought about rebranding at one point though, because like
Mhm.
I was interviewing a lot of like musicians, cosplayers, um just a bunch of random people, because like
Mhm.
I realized that I enjoyed talking to people on the podcast,
Mhm.
and it helped me, like I said before, it helped me get out of my shell. Because
Yeah.
sometimes like these reviews, not everyone's reading comic books or not everyone's reading manga or watching anime, so it wasn't really I wasn't really doing myself any a service, because I would like kind of dread watching so much stuff or reading so much stuff like a deadline and then talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's no longer you're no longer enjoying it. You're doing it
yeah,
because 'cause you're trying to cram it into a small time frame.
yeah. So my cousin, my cousin Lee Mong, he was he was an extra in the movie Gran Torino like a long time ago. He was
Wow.
one of the gangsters, and so he was my very first guest. And I asked, you know, because he's my cousin, so like I asked him like,
Mhm.
hey, you want to talk about your experience at Gran Torino? Because at this time of when we made that episode, which is episode 6 for those of you who are interested, uh it was like the 10-year anniversary of Gran Torino. And so we were talking, I just like, hey, let's talk about your experience, how you got
Mhm.
the role, and you know, like what you did and all that stuff. So we just talked about his experience, and I really enjoyed that because he was officially my first guest ever for the podcast. And
Wow,
so
that's
yeah,
awesome.
so because of that, talking with my cousin, I was like, man, you know, I enjoyed this a lot more than just reviewing things and talking about things. And plus, like when I review things, I'm by myself, so like
Mhm.
that's why when I tell you, like I get annoyed of my voice when I talk too much, because like I've already gone through it. I've done episodes where I rant and ramble for 45 minutes to like over an hour.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, having
Have
guests on just like kind of built the platform where I was thinking, like, 'cause I wanted to rebrand, but
Mhm.
Spoiler Force stuck because everyone knew me by Spoiler or by, oh, that you're the Spoiler Force guy, or you're Spoiler. You know, I've
Yeah.
had people come up to me and like, hey, Spoiler. I'm like,
I'm
who?
famous.
Like,
Me?
yeah, no, like not even that. Just like,
You're like, "Me? Are you talking to
yeah, like,
me?"
are you calling me Spoiler? Like yeah, you're the guy with the podcast. You're Spoiler Force. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I am. Yeah. I'm Spoiler Force. You know,
You,
like
like, forget, you're like,
yeah, it makes me,
"What?"
because like to me, I'm always a fan first. So
Mhm.
I'm just like, who the hell are you talking to? Like, who's Spoiler for? Like, oh yeah, that's me. That's what I do. I'm like in complete denial of what I'm doing. Um, but
Yes,
yeah,
no,
that's how
I
everything came to be.
yes, and I was about to ask, do you like Demon Slayer? Because you're wearing the Demon Slayer
Uh,
kimono. Was that an executive
uh,
decision, or
Nezuko.
was that Nezuko?
Yeah, I love Nezuko. No, Demon Slayer. There's a lot of like I guess I can go. I can go into the backstory of this because like Demon Slayer came out 2019 ish. So
Yeah.
I just got done watching Goblin Slayer of all
Okay.
things to watch. I don't know if you watched
Yes.
Goblin Slayer.
I have 3 manga volumes.
Okay, because that first episode was that was a tough watch. I was
I
not
need to
expecting
watch
that.
it.
But yeah, so like, coming from Goblin Slayer, like I was like Demon Slayer, like really, was
Mhm.
he gonna kill demons instead of goblins? So like I didn't think much of it.
Yes.
What I didn't know was that the manga was so hot already by the time this anime dropped,
Yeah.
and so I watched Demon Slayer. I fell in love with like I didn't fall in love with it yet, but
Mhm.
I watched it. I was like, all right, that first episode, crazy opening, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, like it wasn't until like the story kept building up to where like they introduced Zenitsu, introduced Inosuke, Tanjiro
Yes.
going through his training, and then like episode 19 of Demon
Mhm.
Slayer. That me and my cousin Lee Mong, my cousin that was the first guest for my podcast, me and him
Mhm.
both fell in love with Demon Slayer because of episode 19. I will never forget it because um he was the first one I contacted. I was like, yo, did you watch this? Because you need to watch it now. And he's like, why? I was like, dude, just fucking watch it. And so he
Uh,
watches, he not even like, he's still watching it. And he texts me, oh my God, this is so good. I'm going to cry, because
which one's episode 19? Because I'm terrible with the numbers, but if you mention the episode, I've watched it. I've watched Demon Slayer like maybe like 10 times.
it's when Tanjiro fights Rui in the forest.
Oh my God, yes. I was about to
And
say
when
that
he
when
first,
the music is playing and
oh
like
my God,
Nezuko
chills.
grabs it.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, yes. It's like if there was like a moment of like football and people like
Yes.
wrote like cheering, what was it? Like when there's like a football or soccer game in the
I
in
was
the
one of those
pub or in
people.
a bar,
Yeah.
everyone's like, yeah.
It was a sports moment for me. Me and my uncle were watching. Me and my uncle from Minnesota, we were watching that specific episode up in like northern Michigan in the cabin, and we were screaming at my phone. And my aunt looked at us like, "What the hell are you guys watching? Like, you don't get it. This is like Super Bowl moment here."
Yes.
Yeah, like when the music kicked in, Tanjiro does the Hino Kami Kagura.
Yes.
Nezuko
And
uses her demon
Nezuko.
art. Oh
Oh
my
my
God,
God.
dude!
Yes.
That episode
It's
sold me.
I'm pretty sure for a lot of people, like again, you and I, and we're watching it. It's like, oh, it's okay, but it's something different with the orchestra and the
Yeah.
music in that exact moment, and it still gives me chills. Like you just said, it gives you chills. I can't wait for the day of like bars playing episode. I think it was like great Game of Thrones. They were like airing episodes in bars and places and people were like watching it all together. I hope one day that it'll be kind of like that for anime.
We're all cheering like, yeah. Have you seen that meme though? It's like the pub is cheering, but then they put Naruto, like a Naruto clip, and it's like it's Sakura, like Sakura screaming for Naruto, and then Naruto comes in with the frogs, and like everyone goes crazy. Yeah, well, that's exactly what I felt watching Demon Slayer episode 19. And
Oh my
this
gosh.
episode just like stands out to me so much because I still remember where I was at. I still remember
Yes.
who I contacted first. My
Yes.
cousin Lee Mong. Me and him, like because of that episode, me and him were like, all right, we're reading the manga now. Because like the way how they ended that episode, it could have been a season finale.
Oh
Because the way how they
yes.
wrote the credits, and so we
Mhm.
thought that it was done. And my cousin's like, it's weird. Why would they leave it off at episode 19 of all numbers? It's weird. So we were like,
Yeah.
fuck it, we're gonna read the manga. We were racing
Yeah,
each
you're
other.
just like go straight. I actually did that too. I bought the manga. I got the box. I waited for them to do the complete box set.
Oh yeah.
And I was able to buy that. I haven't opened it yet. I got it, but I'm like, I need a consecutive day just to go back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, me and my cousin, we were like racing to read Demon Slayer. I remember we read through, I think like up until that point, it was already like past halfway. We
Mhm.
were reading, and we got when we read Rengoku. Oh my God,
Oh gosh.
I was like, I was not ready for that in the manga, and I already knew that I was gonna bust my tears
Oh my
watching the movie.
gosh. Oh my God. I never cried so
I
much in the
I
theater. I was
cried
not
in the theater. Like,
prepared.
my cousin was laughing at me. Like, I know, but I know he wanted to cry. Because I took my cousin Limong. I took him for his birthday to watch Demon Slayer, and he
Mhm.
was like laughing at me for crying. I was like, shut up. I know you want to cry too, because I know you secretly cried watching this when you were by yourself. Like
You got
it's
it out. You want to make fun of me, but I know.
yeah. It's
I
just okay.
That
Go ahead.
movie was so funny. I laughed hysterically with the Zenitsu part and like Nezuko when he's like the guy's in his dream and he's like, "Why are you in
Like,
here?
you're not
You're not
Nezuko.
supposed to be here." It's just like all black.
Yeah.
That was just hilarious. But I never thought that I would fall in love with a character and immediately just turn around and cry my hardest for a character within less than 2 hours that I've known. I was just like, "Yes, you made mom proud." Like, I don't know if it's just kind
Yeah.
of like all of those moments. I think it's maybe just sad music playing and then mom and parents, and it's like, we just want to make our parents proud. So it just kind of like
Well,
hit
that's
us.
the thing with Demon Slayer, right? Because that's why me and my cousin, me and my cousin Lee, we love Demon Slayer because it had a familial theme to it. It wasn't like shonen typical where the main
Mhm.
character is out to be the best. It's literally Tanjiro trying to save his sister, and then you
Yes.
see all the characters with siblings. I mean, even in Inosuke's, I don't know if you read the manga, right? So like
I
Inosuke's,
haven't yet. I haven't
okay,
yet, but it's
well,
okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
okay, well, Inosuke's story is probably one of the most tragic and sad.
Mhm.
I won't say any more than that because
Yeah.
we all know Inosuke is an orphan, and
Mhm.
he's from the mountains, so he has a lot of mystery. But when you find out his past and what
Mhm.
happened to him, it is insane. This like I was
I
I was reading the pages and I was tearing up, and then
Oh, no. Now
yeah,
you're making me wanted to just leave it there. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
I
not
was
ready
reading
to
the
cry.
pages.
Well, I think what was it TikTok? My FYP likes to spoil a
Oh
lot of stuff, so I know more about the ending than I know about the middle.
yeah. Oh, like
So,
the whole familial theme, and like even with the Hashiras, like
mhm,
why they hate demons.
mhm,
The Wind Pillar was my favorite character and besides like the main cast, the Wind Pillar was my favorite.
okay.
He Senemi is a complete badass. Like he's my favorite out of the Hashira, but like it's just um yeah, me and my cousin, like we just like honestly, it sounds weird when I say it, but like this manga, this story written by the mangaka, like it brought me and my cousin really close. Like
Yeah.
we got really close, as in like because before we weren't exactly close like family close. Like he's the closest thing I have to a big brother because I don't have
Mhm.
older siblings. So
Yeah.
I looked up to him a lot, and so because we both enjoyed this series so much, like we bonded really closely because of this. And it's weird to say like anime and
No.
manga like brought us together like that. And so Demon Slayer has a very special place in my heart. Like I don't think it's the greatest anime of all time, but it has a very special place.
It's a sentimental value. It's like
Yeah.
me with Inuyasha. Demon Slayer has a little more, a lot of things when it comes down to that, like core memories. You have a
Yeah.
lot more core memories with Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
Demon
gosh.
Slayer and Naruto. Like Naruto's the goat
Oh,
for me. I'm a big Naruto
okay.
fan.
So funny. It's just Naruto and Demon Slayer because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
I grew up with Naruto, and I'm like, blonde hair, blue eyes, loner, you know, just yeah. I grew up with Naruto, and everyone, what is it? Bleach, Naruto was my thing. Like, even though I love romance, all those mangas and happy endings and stuff, I still love action packed shonen stories because I just love that two sides because I think that's a lot like what we talked about earlier is my art style. I like the the more masculine side, but I still like the cutesy, flamboyant guys in romance manga. But the way guys are portrayed in a lot of action anime and manga, Bleach, Naruto. I was like, I like this way. It's not really. So I'm trying to find the go between for both. But yes, Naruto, Bleach. What was another one?
One Piece. Were you a big One Piece fan?
I
I
it
wasn't.
was on 4Kids and it just jumped around. It didn't do it justice, and now I'm just like 1,000 episodes.
I don't. See,
I will
I know that
never.
there's One Piece fans who like you don't like One Piece because you don't know One Piece. But for me,
Uh,
it's just like I tried One Piece. I could not get into it. I liked some parts. Like Ace
yes,
was one of my favorite characters. That was a very sad
yes.
moment when Luffy loses Ace. That
Oh
was
my
sad.
gosh.
But
Yes.
then other than that, I kind of just stopped because, like you said, over 1,000 episodes and still have not found the One Piece yet. So I don't know when they're gonna end.
Oh
you
my
know?
gosh. I saw a TikTok. I saw a TikTok and it just made me laugh. And the guy was talking about how he connected with this girl about anime over anime. And she was like, "Oh, what's your favorite anime?" And he's like, "One Piece. What about you?" And she's like, "One Piece." And she's like, "I've watched all the episodes." And he's like, "Oh my God." And then he just makes a funny skit about how they were talking. And he's like, "Hey, can I get your number?" And she's like, "Oh, I have commitment issues." And he's like, "You watched One Piece. What are you
I'll give you my
talking
number
about?"
when One Piece ends.
she's like, "You have commitment issues, but that's like 1,000 episodes. How do you have commitment issues, but you finished One Piece or you're caught up to One Piece?" And I just laughed.
Yeah.
He's like, "If I'm ugly, just tell me I'm ugly."
Yeah, you don't joke with One Piece, man. If you're committed to One Piece, that's a relationship right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I've always been a Naruto fan. Like, after
Mhm,
Dragon Ball Z, it was hard to get back into anime again, and
mhm.
Naruto was like that saving grace. And then
Yes.
when I guess Naruto hit different too though, because like with us, we practically grew up with Naruto. We see him as
Mhm,
I don't know, like for me, I was still in elementary school and I was reading the Shonen Jumps of Naruto, and the first
mhm.
chapters I've read was when him and Team Seven fought Zabuza and Haku.
Oh my gosh.
So
Oh my
like,
god, that's like the biggest thing of like it's still the greatest episode. And you have to remember like they're kids.
yeah.
Like they're kids and you don't really realize like how old they are until like you get later and then it's like with Boruto. I haven't watched too much of it, but I'm just like they were doing this and going against deadly assassins when they were your age.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
so
you,
okay,
go
good.
ahead.
Oh,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, no, it's just like I was gonna add on to it. It's like, it's like we were talking about like these young kids growing up with anime, like they're kind of like Boruto, they grow up with all the fancy tech. They don't know the struggle of, like fighting for fighting
We
for
had
anime,
to we had to walk for you to run.
Yeah, exactly. For
Well,
like those old parents, like when I went to school, I had to climb mountains and skip lunch and all that. It's like that with anime. But
what
I
was it? What was it you posted? Someone made a meme of like, "Yo, I think Boruto's dad and Naruto are related," or
oh my god,
something.
yeah, dude, it's funny, right? Because like there are kids growing up not knowing Naruto, but they
Oh
know
my
him as
gosh.
Boruto's dad. I'm like, oh
Yes.
my god, that's how I know I'm old. Like someone's like
The-
Boruto's dad has his own show. Like, no,
yes.
no, I'm not accepting this. No,
Boruto's dad has his own
no.
show.
Boruto's dad does not have no, it's not Boruto's dad, it's Naruto. Naruto is the
Yes.
predecessor.
Yes. Oh my
Because of
gosh.
him, that's why Boruto exists. Like there
Oh
are
my
kids
gosh.
growing up with Boruto not knowing Naruto, and that pisses me off
That's
as a huge
see,
Naruto fan.
and that's where the frustration comes of the new generation. We're just like, you darn kids, you have to watch this. But with that, I am really glad that a lot of stuff is making comeback. I think what is it? Gundam's coming back, Sailor Moon's coming back. I mean, I don't know if you've heard like Yashahime, Inuyasha continued, went to
Oh
have
yeah, that's his kid, right?
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have kids. So I'm like, it's okay, but I'm like, that's so cool that it's coming back, but it is kind of annoying because um oh, when I was going to conventions with my family, when I say we, I mean like my siblings and I, um, we were doing the trend. We were painting on clothes, like jean jackets and jeans and stuff. We were going to sell that. But like the conversation we had at Nishi Fest, we were like, "Oh, copyright. We can't sell this because it'll be a direct copy of the show." But we were painting on jean jackets. I have like t-shirts that I eyeballed and drew dot hack gu character. I can't remember his name, but I have like all these voice actor signatures on t-shirts that I painted on and drew anime characters on. And I'm like, all these kids are like painting on glass and painting on jean jackets and selling and having and making rugs and everything. And I'm like, I was before their time. Like if I had TikTok, like I would be the OG of this person. But like again, this generation is just like they're the just do it generation. Think about it later. And I think that's really cool, but also like a little bit like sad and sour inside. I'm like, we did it first.
Like not now I know how like the old people feel when they see us like, oh, we were going outside, we did this,
Oh my
we didn't have the
gosh.
internet, it's just like it's always gonna be a comparison game.
Yes.
I don't think that'll ever go away, but it's just like when you put it into the outlook of just anime and manga, it's just funny to me because like I said, these younger kids don't know what it was like to struggle to like animate, and now they get
Yes.
it for free. Like how Boruto
Oh
has
my
his whole life for
gosh.
free. He didn't struggle like Naruto.
Oh my
Naruto
gosh.
struggled,
Yes, Naruto had to figure that out. I think one of the most memorable fights was with Sasori, and because it was dragged on for so long, and excuse me, that was the other thing with anime right now. Like, our anime would be like, we had to watch it I think for like 2 months, we would be on like one fight.
Mhm.
We would like every Saturday, it's like, we're still on this fight with Sasori. And then it's like, a lot of the anime now, it's like 2, 3, maybe 4 episodes
But the thing is, they don't have
sometimes.
fillers anymore either. We grew up with fillers.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Naruto is I mean, again, I didn't watch One Piece, but Naruto was one of the biggest thing with fillers. It was like, oh, here's a completely separate mission from the village.
That and Bleach fillers threw me off the most.
Oh,
Like they
yes.
were fighting against the Arankar and
Mhm.
Aizen, and then next thing you know, they're fighting the Zanpakuto. I'm like,
My
when did
gosh.
this happen? Like, like did I miss
What was it?
something?
Conan's
Yeah,
plushy friends. There was like episodes of them, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, this is a useless Saturday. There goes this update for this Saturday. I've got to wait until the next one. And I mean, like people are still experiencing that now, but it's also like, what was it? Some people again growing up with cable had it where it was just like on repeat on Toonami or Adult
Yep.
Swim, and then it's like the kids that didn't have it, I didn't have it, so we had to wake up 7 a.m. and then it finished at noon, and that's it. That's all you got.
Yep.
And you were lucky during the week to get it from like 5 or like in 3 until 5 or 5 until something. And I remember watching that religiously, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, and Pokemon, just all the time.
Yu-Gi-Oh was a lit anime.
Yes. Oh my
Like
gosh.
I still play Yu-Gi-Oh like how I did back in the day. Like the
Oh,
card game now is so
I
insane.
can't do the
Synchro
fusion.
summons,
Yes.
dices,
No,
they're throwing
no.
quarters in there now. Next thing you know, they're gonna throw like, oh, they're gonna require you to throw in like $100 bill. I don't know what they're gonna do with Yu-Gi-Oh now. So many complex
Yes.
rules. Cards are taken out. Cards are put back in.
Oh my god.
It's
You
insane.
can't have some of these cards because they're too powerful.
Right, they're banned. Oh no, we brought them back. They're not banned anymore. Like what? And then like the
Yes.
text is so tiny on the cards now. Like you're just gonna like for me, I'm just gonna like I'm just guessing this card's power at this point. I don't know. I'm
I
playing with
know.
it.
It's just like, this is how I'm interpreting it, so this is how I'm gonna play it.
Yeah, but Yu-Gi-Oh was so good. You
Oh
know
my
what? One
gosh.
arc that stood out to me the most that I remember was the Dungeon Dice Monsters. I
I
I
was
wa-
gonna
I want
say, go ahead, continue,
uh,
continue.
I wanted to be Duke Devlin so bad. I wanted my own dice roll game. I wanted
Uh,
I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. And
oh
then to
my
see
gosh.
Yugi beat Duke Devlin with the Dark Magician at his own game, I was like, oh my
Yes.
god, that was such a good arc.
Yes. My favorite is the capsule monster, but I also had the video game for PlayStation 2. I still have it. And the Seal of Orichalcos when they were wearing the armor. When Joey had Red Eye's armor, I was like, this is amazing. Joey wearing Red Eye's armor. This is just and again, back in the day, I would record it. I VCR recorded that episode.
Oh man.
And I mean, I don't have the VCR anymore, but I think you can get the DVDs because back then it's like you never thought that everything would be coming back around or people would be remaking stuff. It would just be like lost or gone forever. So I'm just like, I need to have this. I rewatch it all the time. So that I love Yu-Gi-Oh so much. I love the Pharaoh the season where he went back to Egypt and everything. And I'm like, this is so cool. I think, what is her name? Kisa? Was it Kisa? Was the blue eyes white dragon?
Kaiba.
No, there's Kaiba, but then there was a girl that embodied blue eyes. Her name was
I don't remember. I think I stopped
Kisar.
watching Yu-Gi-Oh like after I stopped watching after the Battle City. So after
Battle
they beat
City?
Merrick. Yeah, so after they
Okay.
beat Merrick and I stopped. Because
Okay.
I think I was too cool for Yu-Gi-Oh after that.
Oh, that's so sad. But it's okay. No, it took a while. It replayed a lot, but I think one of my favorite one was when the Pharaoh was learning about his past and they went back in time to Egypt and you got to meet all of his people, like all the people talked to Kaiba, learned where all the monsters came from, and it was really cool arc. It was a really cool arc, for sure.
Yeah,
You have to watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You have to watch it if it's not still if you're too cool for it.
I don't know. Like I think I was only into it because of the actual card game itself. So like I was
Okay.
like, you know, with the show they were like teased new monster cards or new trap cards, new magic cards, and like it was just cool to have those cards. But like I remember when Bakura, when he was coming around and like, he was, you know, the evil one would like unleash these like super cool magic cards just to find out the cards he used in real life suck. Like these cards are no good. So like why are they hyping up these cards in the anime just to when I play it on the actual game it sucks?
If you go back and do the math, Yugi would have lost many times.
Oh yeah, no, Yugi had the power of plot on his side. Like, did you remember like when he first Mako, the guy with the water deck? And
I think so.
Yeah, back in like the first season, and he's like, "Oh, and I summoned the moon card, and then the moon will get rid of the tides." I'm like, man, Yugi is not playing with the right rules. He bent the rules so much in this game. Like,
Oh my
it was
god.
not fair.
Right? That's what it's like, oh, I'm playing this water field card and my mermaid is gonna have X amount of points, blah 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 blah. You know, yes.
I just like I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a panel of like the original Yami voice and then the voice of the one of the newer protagonists. Like it was like a fan, like it was like like 4 fans battle. Like it's like a like the voice actors would read the lines and then they show on the screen like the deck. And so like you see Yugi like learn about synchro summoning. He's like, oh, what's that? You know, and then they talk the guy with like the Stardust Dragon, I forgot his name, but he's like, you know, I summon Stardust Dragon and I can do this and I can do that. Yugi's like, well, I play this card and I play this card. And for the Yu-Gi-Oh fans, like, you know, a lot of the cards Yugi uses, most of them are banned. So like he's winning because he has all these banned cards.
So are they like doing commentary be like that card's banned?
I hope not. I don't think the voice actors did, but like it's just funny when you read the comments on YouTube, they're like, Yugi only won because he technically cheated. All the cards he uses, they're not
Pot of Greed,
right?
Shield, what is it? Swords of Revealing Light.
Yeah.
What Mirror Force? All like those 3
most powerful cards because you can't use them in a real battle,
in a real tournament.
It's just funny. Like
yes.
Oh yeah, my but God. You know, like I said, Yugi is super lucky every time he battles because technically, like based on their strategies, I think Kaiba should really win a lot of these games. he's got like all the strong monsters, but
And he plays by the rules.
yeah. But what's his line? He says to Joey, like, "You're a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck." Like who says that, man? Like Kaiba says that.
I love Joey. Joey does have some banned cards too,
Yeah.
but I love Joey the most out of all of them because it's like he would always be like shitted on. But I like the main thing I love Joey is whenever I see it in like animation or anyone uses it or there's a reference, it's like when Joey does like the Joey chin. It's like, yeah, and he's like he pulls in his mouth and he's just like, yeah, him and Tristan. That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Man, I remember when the Joey deck got revealed, because like people were waiting for the new decks. I wish I kept mine. My grandma took me to Toys R Us when I was like in 5th grade. She bought me both the Yugi deck and the Kaiba deck, and then my mom that night came home and surprised me with another Yugi deck. I wish I kept those because those have so much value now if unopened.
Oh, unopened. Well, I was about to say I have a fully intact Joey deck, but it is opened from the box. I have the red eyes. I have where it has like, what is it? Time Wizard, the transformation of Flaming Swordsman.
Oh my god.
But like it says in the deck, like in the little corner, there's like a little gold or silver foil. It'll say like if it's a part of a deck. So I sorted all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards and I'm like, okay, this is Joey's deck. It's got to stay together.
Yeah.
But like unopened.
It was the Yugi Kaiba deck and then Joey and Pegasus deck.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then they did a Mai deck and then I think they did Weevil and Rex too.
I think so. I wanted the Mai deck, but again, like growing up, my parents are like, "Are you sure you want that? Are you sure you want that?" And got talked out of it.
Yeah, I remember getting the Harpies pet dragon.
Oh,
that was from the PlayStation 1 Yu-Gi-Oh game. It came with 3 exclusive cards. It was 1,000-year-old dragon, Harpy's pet dragon, and then another card. I forgot. I think it was a magic card.
Which PS1 game was it? Which one?
The Yu-Gi-Oh one, like the one with like you go back and like I forgot the name.
Oh yeah. Like it has like I have that. I have that game.
And like you could type in like the card, the numbers at the bottom of the card, and put them in the game. I cheated with that game because I put in like so many blue eyes for my deck, and then like I was just destroying everyone.
Just any kind of dragons you fuse make into a bigger dragon.
Yeah, no, that game was like so OP. Like you could fuse whatever cards and make
5 dragons.
Yeah, it's exactly as long as you had like the right element and the right monster type, you could make a new monster. And I was like, holy shit, this game! This is such a cheating game. You could win easily without even without Exodia.
Yes, I love that game. And then it's like when I was going against someone in that game, is like Exodia that just like would place it. I think so. Would they place Exodia? I don't really remember. Yeah, but I'm like, how would you beat this? Of course, I haven't beat that game because it was so difficult.
Like each person you battled, the deck got harder and harder.
Yes,
I got to. I think the person I struggled. No, I struggled against. No, I beat Pegasus. I beat Isis or Ishizu, Merrick's sister. I forgot because like because late in the game you keep playing and then you're winning the Millennium items.
Yes.
So I remember I struggled with her and I struggled with Pegasus. But I forgot who comes after her that I stopped playing because I couldn't beat it.
There is Isis, and then after that I think you go against
the guy with the rod, right? The Millennium Rod.
Yeah, the Millennium Rod. And then I think you go against Merrick later on. But I actually revisited the game and I beat all of them, and then you get transported back to old Egypt and you have to duel different like sections, and it's like these like magician people that are like guarding these certain areas like earth, water, fire, air. I haven't beaten it yet, but their decks are crazy. But I was like, oh my god, I never beat this. So it's like as a child I still haven't beaten it from a game that I've had over like 15 years.
I I get
Now
so,
you're
like,
making me want to go play it and hopefully beat it tomorrow.
well, at least with like online now, you can look up like all the cards online. Like, oh, what's the numbers for this card again? And just
Yes.
type in all the numbers in the game and just cheat.
And hopefully I draw them
Yeah, right.
because all of a sudden they're just like Exodia, and then you're just blown away and have to go beat everyone else again.
Oh man, you can't get mad at Yu-Gi-Oh! Man, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a crutch to the kids anime of our time.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no, you brought up Digimon earlier too. I wanted to say
Yes.
Digimon is the same thing with like Naruto. We grew up with Tai and Agumon,
Oh my
and then
God.
they're
The
college kids now.
movie. The
I cried.
movie.
I cried
Every time.
when Tai had to say goodbye to Agumon.
Oh my gosh.
That's so
Yes.
heartbreaking because like
Whenever I watch that movie, I just reminisce about the movies that are coming out now, Belle, Summer Wars. I just instantly, it takes me back to Digimon every single time.
I
Have you watched Summer Wars?
no, but I heard of Belle. I
Okay.
heard Belle was pretty good.
It is. I watched it in Japanese first because I was seeing it and I'm like, I need to watch this. It's basically the same like music that you saw in Demon Slayer episode 19. It was having that impact with me with the music, and I
Yeah.
like sobbed, and I wanted to go watch it in theaters, but I'm like, I don't think I want to sob profusely in the theater. If there was like something special, I would have gone, but Belle is really good. It is the person who created it, they did say that it was referenced from Beauty and the Beast from
Uh,
Disney. So they
okay.
did say that. But Summer Wars, Wolf Children, I
I
can't
heard that one
remember
was good.
Your Name.
Your Name is
Um
fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Yes. People keep saying, like, if you don't have anyone that watches anime, all you need to do is like have them watch Your Name. And sometimes it'll be like the gateway of getting
Okay,
people.
like a lot of my friends say that Your Name is overrated, but then for me, it holds a place in my heart too because that was a movie where I was like, I don't think it's that good, and then I was blown away by it with
Yes.
how good it was, and
Yes.
then that ending when
Oh.
Mitsuha and Taki finally see each other at the stairs.
Oh my God.
That's my bucket list right
I
there.
was on this edge of my seat. I'm like, this better be a happy ending.
That's like because of that movie. That's my bucket list. Like, if I see those damn stairs, I might cry for real. Like if I
Oh,
go walk those stairs,
yes. Go
that's
to
my that
Japan.
that's my on my
Take a
bucket
photo.
list. Oh
Yes,
man,
no, for sure. Like again, what was it? Your Name was very similar to I think another anime. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue,
Weathering
but
with You,
which one?
Weathering with You. That was by the same
I
director
don't know
too.
if I watched Weathering with You. I think.
That one was pretty good, but it's not as
I
good as
think it
you.
was the the silent movie. What
A
is it
Silent
called?
Voice.
Yes, yes. So I got like the vibes from Your Name on that, but I was going through a lot of my personal life when Your Name came out, so it was really it hit me hard, and it like got me back into anime, honestly. Like a lot of my stuff was in storage, and I didn't all my computer stuff was in storage, so I wasn't drawing or anything. But then I went in theater and I watched it. I watched it twice. And then my brother and I went and watched it, and he's like, "Our we should buy the limited edition together," and we both did because we loved it so much. And I remember that was like one of the first animes that we watched together in a theater. We connected over that, my little brother. So Your Name is definitely a big part for me. I mean, I don't watch it a lot, but whenever I do suggest to my friends that don't watch anime, I'm like, just watch Your Name. Just watch Your Name. It may resonate with you, it may not. It's very cute with body like switching and the life switching and everything like that. Very cute.
Makoto Shinkai is amazing at writing his stories. Like even when you watch like what he did, like he did Weathering with You, he did Your Name, like the Garden of Fire, not the Garden of Fire, he like the Garden of something. But like
Mhm.
his style of writing is
Yes.
very like based off of like romance, different aspects of romance. So
Hmm.
I you know being a big softie here, but like it's really nice to see his take on like using his story writing and especially with the animation, and then like with the music, like the
Oh
band
my
that did
gosh.
the music for Your Name, like that tugs my heartstrings so much because I loved when they met and then the music plays and it's just credits.
Yes,
Like it was
yes.
so freaking
Just
beautiful.
just tears
Uh,
crying, and that's what I got, like, the whole movie with Belle. I mean, a lot of people, there is some criticism, they're like, "Oh, well, we don't understand the plot," or, "It didn't make a lot of sense," and I don't wanna spoil it too much for you, but, it has a lot of deeper meaning. It's kinda like, the movie Turning Red. It has a lot of meaning in it. I don't Have you watched it yet? Turning Red?
that's that Disney
The
movie or
pan
Pixar,
Yeah,
the
the
Red
Disney
Panda.
Pixar movie, yes. There's a lot of aspects people say like, "Oh, it's really cringy and it's really funny because the girl in the show is like us, sees a boy and then, like, drew him in anime style, and she, like, was drawing, like, manga panels of herself and this guy, and I'm like, "This movie is calling out every single millennial artist that can draw and drawing their own little romantic scenes, but it has a lot of points in it. Belle is mainly around, abuse from parents. It has that story, but it also just talks about how this girl is dealing with loss and trying to find herself, and it jumps around, but at the end, if you just look at it, like, deeply, you can see a lot of messages of, like, again, with Turning Red, there's some messages in there of, like, my childhood that I can resonate with, and it's the same with Belle. Even though it's not, like, a masterpiece, to me it is, because I just see this girl trying and just doing her best, and I'm like, and then when she's singing, I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but when she's singing, I'm just, like, sobbing because the music is so beautiful, and everyone's, like, cheering on her, and then they're crying, cheering her on, so I have to cry, so
No, another movie that made me cry in theaters was have you seen I Want to Eat Your Pancreas?
no.
The movie's literally called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas.
I
Like
want
it,
to eat your pancreas,
yeah,
okay?
it's that movie fucked me up. I walked out the theater like I didn't cry in the theater, but like I walked out the theater and I was like, what the fuck did I watch? Like I was so like fucked up by it because I don't want to ruin it, but like the ending, the twist at the end is like not what you think it is. Like
Okay.
because I can tell I'll tell you this. The girl, she's dead. The main girl is like she's dead. But
Really?
it's how she dies is what fucks
Okay.
you up. So
Okay.
because the beginning of the movie starts off with her funeral, and then they go back into where the main guy meets her and how they connect and all this. It's very like young loves esque, very
Mhm.
young like young romance. But like it's how she dies that fucked me up, and it's that movie was like I hate. I always say like I hate the timid introverted protagonist like that I hate it because it's such a like a stereotypical anime male character.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
in this movie, I related to him in a sense where like where you just close off everyone and then it just takes one person to kind of like help you break out of your shell type of deal. And
Mhm.
like just the girl and the main girl in this movie was just so like full of energy. She was bright, she was very helpful, she was very understanding. Like she pulled pranks here and there, but like she was very sweet to him. And then
Mhm.
when you find out how she dies, it's just like
Oh.
why did you do this to this
Oh,
character?
no.
And so yeah, when you watch it, it'll like I don't think it'll be like super sad where you cry,
It's
but
kind of like, Ichigo's mom in Bleach when you figure out, like, how she died.
yeah, it's like
It's like when he's a little boy, and then it's like, "It's because of a hollow." It's like, "No."
that move like yeah that I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is probably one of my favorites. um it's not like it's not like super heart pulling like I talk shit a lot about A Silent Voice because one of my cousins up in Wisconsin, he loves it a lot, and
Mhm.
I just give him shit for it. But it is a good movie though. It's
Yes.
not like that, but I don't know. It's just like the animation the animation for I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is like really clean. It's really good.
Okay.
You know, it like the pretty much like the basis of it is like to pretty much live like you have no tomorrow type of deal. So
Mhm.
I like that. But yeah, that's another great movie I watched in theaters too. Thank God it was just like me and like one other person. So like, yeah,
Covering your shirt, wiping your
yeah.
tears with your like sleeve. Didn't bring enough tissues.
It's funny though, like when you go watch like those kind of anime movies, and like I pay attention to the audience. You know, like if it's like My Hero, or if it's like a Naruto movie or Dragon Ball Z movie, you know what kind of crowd you're getting into. But when you
Yes.
watch like Slice of Life, or like Weathering with You, Your Name, or whatever romance, I pay attention to who's going, and it's always it's funny because it's always like me and then there's like two or three like other single dudes and they're watching it. Like very few like couples come in, but like when I went to watch I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, it was me and like
Mhm.
some other guy in there, and he was like 2 rows ahead of me, and then like it was just so funny because we were watching it, and then I looked at him, I was like, it was sad, huh? And he's like, he nodded his head, like, yeah, it was sad.
But that's kind of cool too. It's like even though it's not like that well known, it's kind of cool when you just kind of like have the theater to yourself. Have you watched Fruits Basket?
I heard that was pretty good.
It's
I
great.
have not
It's
watched it though.
You need to watch it. So I watched it when it was in the older style and they ended
Didn't they
it.
do a sequel? Like the sequel was the new
They
one?
recreated it. They recasted everyone from the original anime. They redid everything, redid the animation. They added the episodes that they cut off and ended shortly. So it was when they first created it, the anime, they initially cut the manga like in half, basically. Like they ended it early, they ended it on a cliffhanger. It wasn't where it's supposed to end. They thought Akito was a girl, and again, Akito is a girl, but they voiced her with a male voice because the anime didn't do a good job of portraying the manga when the Japanese creators made it into an anime. They didn't get dubbed properly, and so they literally thought Akito, one of the characters that were playing a male role when it was a girl, was dubbed as a male. So it was a bit of a mess. But if you ever have a time to want to just sit down and have like a pure person, like when I was growing up, I basically wanted to be Toru Honda. I was like, I'm going to be a genuine person. I'm going to be nice. It doesn't matter what the other person does. Like, I'm going to be 100% authentically me. If they choose to treat me how they want to, that's them. But I'm like, I want to be a Toru Honda. There needs to be more Toru Hondas in the world, and it really pulls on your heartstrings, and then it does have some like emotional stuff that you want kind of like feel a little connected about, and then they touch on a huge story that wasn't even animated in the first round. So when you're watching all of this happen, you're like, oh my god, this is so crazy. But the anime is so good. If you want something that you just want heartwarming, a little bit of funny, a little bit of like slice of life, teenagers just trying to figure out how to go about life with a curse that if you hug the opposite sex, you turn into the zodiac. So it's very good. It's very funny. Definitely now is the time to watch it. That was one of the two anime that I watch. Inuyasha and Fruits Basket would be the ones that I recommend to anyone to watch if they're getting into it.
Yeah, those are. I've always seen people recommend Fruits Basket. It always, I don't know. It kind of reminded me of like Anohana, sort of. I don't know if you heard of that one. Anohana is
What
like
is it about?
the little girl that died when they were kids, and like she's a ghost, and like they have to find
Uh,
her body or something like that. I don't know why it reminds me of that.
I
It's
don't
probably
think I remember that one.
that one. I don't know.
I just keep thinking of like Grave of the Fireflies when I think of something like that.
Yeah. Well, that one was pretty sad too. That
It
little girl.
was. Oh my gosh.
So that was
cute.
that was sad.
Oh
But
my gosh.
but we are hitting the almost 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
Oh
I
my
know. It just
god.
feels like that.
We've been, lots of
I'm
topics that we
sorry.
talked about. No, it's all good. It's all good. It's I'm gonna be honest, it's gonna be a pain to edit, but I will get through it. I will get through, I will push through and get this episode out all in one piece. No pun intended.
One Piece.
No, but JJ, thank you so much for your time. I
Thank you. Thank you
truly
so much for
enjoyed
having me.
this conversation. Like, for fans and listeners, if you made it this far listening, I will applaud you, because not because this episode's long, but because I don't ever really talk about myself so much in my episodes. So this is probably one of the few where, if you did listen to this whole thing, you probably learned a little bit more than I wanted to share about myself. So
Don't
um,
regret it. Don't regret it
no
later.
regrets. It's already content. It's gonna be out there. I need my fans to kind of get to know me on a personal level anyway. This is a great one to start with, and plus they get to know you too, JJ. So, before we wrap things up, again, I want to say thank you for your time. Yeah, I
Thank
like
you.
I said, there was mishaps earlier, but that'll be edited out. That's the power of editing. Um,
Yes.
but for fans who are interested in your artwork or want to follow you, how can they do that?
It's Oniyuri Graphics on every social media. If you wanted to follow me on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, it's just Oniyuri Graphics. You can basically type me in Google, just Oniyuri Graphics, and I should basically pop up everywhere because not a lot of people have that name. So, but
Perfect.
I'm mainly on Twitter and Instagram. I will probably, hopefully, stream more of my art, but I'll have to get more into a regular schedule once my work allows that.
Perfect. And I'll have all that information in the show notes and YouTube link or YouTube description as well. So again, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to Spoiler Force Podcast. Follow JJ and Oniyuri Graphics. I almost said OnlyFans, honestly.
Only Yuri. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
But yes, again, thank you guys for listening. Again, JJ, thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad that this conversation went this long, and I'm glad that you were able to talk about all sorts of topics with me tonight. But yes, it's been great. Again, this is episode 121. Thank you so much for listening, and
Yes,
have a great
thank
day.
you. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give a review and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want to get all Spoiler Force updates or even peeks at behind the scenes, you can join the Spoiler Force Discord community. And if you'd like to show support, give tips, recommendations, sponsorships, or any collaborations, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com.